This piece of drama is about art theft. I feel like art theft happens so often in the VTuber space because VTubers are like art. Your model itself is art. So that's why art theft is more prevalent in the VTuber space, just because there is more art circulating. So this tweet was put up by Miyoshi Nia. Attention all artists and VTubers. Chubby Moon is an art thief who traces and then sells it and passes off as her own. I regret trying to be this girl's friend and commissioning art of the two of us together. For all proof, see thread. And their account doesn't exist anymore. The first tweet says, I called her for tracing this new model and ripping off the outfit design of my friend's model. This is a tweet from Chubby Moon, a screenshot. Okay, so I don't know why people want drama so bad, but I took down the sketch because apparently some people think I've copied over somebody else's design or traced over their model. For evidence, this is the model my mama made me and the sketch I just made over top. Wait, I need a little bit more context over this one, but did she just like draw over her model's art? Okay, so I'm not a VTuber, so you guys are gonna have to clarify this for me. Is it like okay in the VTuber space to draw over your own model? You have to get permission, but arguably yes. Okay, fish. Or it depends on whether you bought the rights or not. Okay, so if you have permission or you bought the commercial rights for the model, then you can do that. Okay, so we don't know whether Chubby has the commercial rights of this or not. If they did draw over their model, if they got the commercial rights or permission, then okay, that's okay. Oh, wow, guys. So look at this. This is a little sus. So we have this photo on the right and this photo on the left. The right one is like somebody else's art. This one is Chubby's art. And then if you overlap them together, it overlaps perfectly. Most of the body, that is. Like the hair is slightly different, but like the mouth with the fangs, the size of the eyes. So this is the second one. On the right here, we have somebody else's art. On the left, we have Chubby's art. And then, this is it overlapping. For a fashion brand, they just need to change a design by 3% to be original and new. I don't think it applies the same to art. I think the thing is, for fashion, there's some things you can't change. Like a t-shirt is a t-shirt. How much can you change for a shirt, you know? So I think the 3% rule makes sense for fashion. I think for art, it doesn't. Because for art, like, you get a blank canvas to work with. You don't have like the restrictions of like pants needs to have like 2 legs, you know, and like a waistband. There are restrictions in clothing that doesn't apply for artwork, because artwork, you do get a blank canvas to work with. I think for art, you need to change at least like 50% minimum. And that 50% cannot be core elements. They changed 50%, yes, but like the entire body itself is the same. The legs here, the body, the shape, the position of the eyes, everything. Like they trace the base of the model. So I would say like you need to use an entirely new base too. Wow, this is like 1-to-1 traced. They DM the artist about the trace work. This is again the overlapping of Chubby's art versus the original artist. Hi, one of your artworks came across my For You page and was similar to one of my acquaintances, and comparing theirs to yours, I felt like perhaps they traced your art, but I can't be sure because I'm not even sure it's a trend or something, but I tried to line it up and the face kinds of lines up and I'm only suspecting it. The artist said, hello, thank you for bringing this up to me. Yes, this was traced for sure, haha, since there are no ongoing trend like that. Miyoshi says, okay, thank you. I plan on having my friends talk to the other for potential confrontation. The idea and pose are the result from me and the client brainstorming. And there's more. Here's another example. The left is somebody else's art and the right is Chubby's like redraw of it. And then the middle is the art overlapping. The boba is the same. You can't even see any differentiation with the boba and the hands because it's literally a 1-to-1 overlap. And the face is exactly the same too. Wow. And here's the final one. Over here on the right, we have somebody else's art. On the left, we have Chubby's art. And again, it overlaps like 1-to-1. No, fish, that's the worst part. You can clearly tell that Chubby actually has art talent, right? They genuinely have art talent. Why do you desperately need to reference, not even reference, like trace over somebody else's art, which I don't understand. And you can't make an excuse like this because there are so many resources. You can use 3D models to draw over. You can go and like use humans, you know, actual people, take photos of them, photo bash it together, and then like, I don't know, work from there and use that as references, right? I still don't recommend tracing over actual people's bodies either, but like photo bashing it and stuff like that. That's really true too, Cud. Like, is the cat stolen too? Because this cat is a little bit too detailed for somebody who steals art like this. Tracing could help with your practice, but don't claim it as your own. Exactly. I'm gonna say, have I traced people's art? Yeah. Do I ever show it? No. I do it to study other people's artwork because if you draw over somebody else's artwork, you can kind of learn how they draw. You can learn like, oh, this is how like they draw like their jawline. This is how they do facial proportions. It's like studying their artwork essentially. It's actually like a technique artists do where they will repaint famous artists' paintings to learn their technique, their brushstrokes. But you never claim that as their own, I would say. I think drawing over people's art to study is fine, personally. I've known people that are painters specifically and they will repaint like Michelangelo Michelangelo art to try to learn how he draws, like how he paints, to try to mimic his brushstrokes. But you don't ever show that to the public. When you do art studies, you don't ever post the art studies you do, because that's somebody else's artwork. It's not yours. Like the ideas and everything is not original to you. That's the term. Folksy, master studies, essentially, where you're learning off of somebody else's artwork that is more skilled than you. But again, you don't post it, you don't claim it as yours. Or if you do post it, it's like I studied insert artist here's art. And then even then, if you do post it, it shouldn't be like a complete trace redraw. It should be like a inspired, like I studied Ross Draw's art, and then after a week, this is kind of like what I learned, you know, and you make your own piece and then you live and you move on and stop taking his style. So Miyoshi follows up with, I'd like to add that I did message her privately about the trace art and that she then made a public post and blocked me. Additionally, I do know of more artwork that was traced but was asked to not share as the person who commissioned them feels embarrassed they got scammed. That's so sad too, because they did take commissions. So people were unknowingly paying for art theft. And again, I never think it's the fault of the person who commissioned because they didn't know. They thought they were getting original artwork. While they deleted their account, they're literally going to come back with another name, like you guys said, which is honestly really sad. But this happens a lot too in the artist and VTuber space. It's just really common and it's so annoying. Also, on a side note, if you have this much time to trace people's art, you have time to go learn how to draw yourself and like learn how to draw bases and poses properly, which is what I don't understand. Like, why you're spending all your free time stealing art then? We have art tracing drama, but this is like the craziest reverse art tracing drama ever. Okay, let me just explain what happened to you because this is very confusing. This is a tweet from Bun BB Art. Help me God, I'm being accused of tracing a commissioned drawing. Me, tracing their character who happened to have the exact same one-to-one clothes as my commissioner's OC. Yeah, sure. Please stop this behavior, it's so insulting. So this took me a while to figure out because I was a little bit confused. So the other person is called Bitter Nightmares. Their account is no longer on Instagram. I think they got so embarrassed they deleted it. This is a DM from them to Bunny stating, my drawing is from 2022 and yours is from 2023. So here's a photo of their drawing. And then here we have a photo of them lining it up against Bunny's art. And as you can see, it's basically one-to-one. So here is their original piece again, original. And this one is Bunny's tweet. I can finally post this OMG commission for @/Gracie Waifu. And this drawing is super cute. And as you can see, it's basically one-to-one. As for the 2022 is theirs and 2023 is mine, I have no clue, obviously lying. I'm having a relaxing evening and this is how it'll end. Hate comments on IG because people don't use their brains, my God. I'm shaking right now. Defaming my character is such a vile behavior. I've been drawing and taking comments for so many years using my own skills and seeing other people call me a tracer hurts. For anybody believing this, please use your brain. Their 2022 OC art has the exact same clothes as my commissioner's OC, and then I happen to see this said art and trace over it. Stop accusing me on DMs and use your brains. For anyone also DMing me and saying it's just a quote-unquote normal tracing problem and I shouldn't make a big deal out of it, they posted it publicly first and some people have seen it. I have gotten DMs and comments saying I traced. As an artist with 10+ years of experience, this is insulting, and so I feel the need to address it right away. I will not be called a tracer when I have done nothing of the sort. So yeah, I won't just quote-unquote move on from this, because this isn't okay and false accusations like this directly affects my commissions and livelihood. And yes, it might be hard to believe, but some people actually believe this person, even with our obvious difference in skills. That's mainly why I posted this, because of the accusing DMs I'm getting. Anyways, they've deleted their account, LOL. This is so backwards. It's actually crazy they thought they could get away with this. In 2023, Bun drew this art piece of Gracie Waifu's OC in Gracie Waifu's OC's outfit. So this outfit is not exclusive to, but it's the main outfit that Gracie Waifu's OC wears. Even the pose, everything was made for Gracie Waifu. And then Bitter Nightmares decided to go and trace over the art piece and traced over the pose, traced over even the flow of the hair, and traced the outfit. It is the exact same outfit. And then they claimed that this piece is from 2022, which is absolutely crazy. What are the odds that your piece, Bitter Nightmares, is from 2022 with the same exact outfit that Gracie's OC wears, that Bun later in 2023 got commissioned for? It doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely dumb. So I think maybe they thought, oh, if I trace over Bunny's art, but then call Bun the tracer instead, then I can get away with doing this while also stealing their clouts. And then we have Lidsey Lol on Twitter who did this overlapping video for us to see. They took Bitter Nightmares drawing and placed Buns over it, and it's literally almost exact. The hair is completely traced too. The only thing that's different is the face. What is this reverse tracing? I can't even believe that. And there's no screenshot of the 2022 timestamp, by the way. We can't see that. And Lizabelle states their quote unquote illustration has 2 watermarks. Kind of smells like one of those art/Fiverr scammers or something similar. There's literally 2 watermarks. You have the Nightmares watermark down here, and then up here you have a watermark that says Corey. Jupiter says they put fingernails on the closed hand, clearly traced. Wait, bro, no motherfucking way. That's crazy. Also, people are pointing out the difference in quality. And okay, I don't want to be that one person that's like, your art's better than your art and compare 2 pieces together, but I think it's okay to compare 2 pieces if one person traced over the other piece. The big thing that I want to know also is the lighting. The lighting on Bun's piece makes a lot of sense. It looks really good. The lighting here on this piece is really all over the place. This tells me they traced over the pose because they drew a pose that they then didn't know how to do the proper lighting for. But this person has the exact same pose and outfit and has the correct lighting for it. I don't want people in the comments being like, oh my god, it's possible for me to be bad at lighting and somebody traces my artwork. Of course it's possible, but I'm just stating in this case specifically, in this case, the context clues maths out to Bun being the original artist and this being traced. Other people in the comments of Bun's tweet also pointed out how Bitter Nightmares piece uses the same line weight across the entire piece. Even the lines in the hair, the little streaks are the same line weight, whereas Bunny has a very, very differing line weights going on in this piece. This is a more complex pose to draw, right? It's a more dynamic pose, and the pose matches the skill level that Bunny has as an artist, whereas this pose and the skill level of the art don't necessarily match. It can be possible that somebody is really good at posing and just not great at like line work or anything else, but this is just all in context really shows us, hey man, it truly looks like Bun was the one that drew this and this person just copied. Lavender, funny how the one whose art looks less experienced claims the one with more art experience as traced. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day too, if we use our common sense, we look at Bun, they tend to draw with very dynamic poses. A pose like that is not, it's not unique to anybody, to be honest, but we can tell that Bun has a consistent trend of drawing characters in very dynamic poses. But yeah, another more dynamic pose. I love their art style. I actually followed Bun when I saw this because their art is so pretty. But yeah, so as we can see, this art style and this type of posing is something that Bun does a lot. I have no other examples of this person's artwork because there is none, but I would be hard pressed to say that they tend to draw with more dynamic poses like this because it just doesn't look like something they've practiced very much. I'm just gonna be honest. Again, I'm not like a perfect artist either, but I mean, I'm just pointing out the obvious, y'all. And then we have commenters backing this up as well. Rika says, it doesn't even make sense who would trace from somebody whose skills are so clearly behind their own, like be serious. Sarah Shumai states, I feel like everyone is just shouting tracing or AI now because there's no way styles can be different. Poses look the same, or someone isn't a professional and doesn't 100% understand shading yet. Bun says, pose, hair, and clothes are all the same. This character is owned by somebody else too. It's a commission. And Shumai says, they're just mad because yours looks better. Zever Studio says, the fact that they're so similar is odd, but considering I can't even find this Bitter Nightmares person, let alone proof that their art was made in 2022, I'm left to side with you, an artist who has shown prior integrity. How can you trace a pic that seemingly is not public? Bun says, it's so obviously traced from mine. My art is a commission for somebody. Unless their OC has the same clothes as my client's OC and also the exact same hair, then it's not possible. And I think this is the biggest giveaway as well. The fact that this piece is literally a commission of somebody else's OC. If you guys aren't in the art world, what OC stands for is original character, in which somebody will have a character design and they'll have a specific hairstyle, a specific hair color, eye color, and a specific outfit that character wears. Can this outfit be borrowed from existing outfits IRL that stores sell? It can be, but typically the combination of everything together with the same hair length, color, and the outfit, everything is what determines this person to be said person's OC or original character. So the big thing with this character is the hair and the outfit, okay? They have really long hair with one braid going down the back on the right-hand side, and they have this specific kind of like frilly angel kind of cutesy bikini style outfit with a heart buckle, a garter, and what looks like little ruffle shorts beneath it, and arm warmers. All of this character design, the outfit, the hair, whatever, was created by Gracie Waifu, and that was part of their OC. So what are the odds that this Bitter Nightmares person happened to have the exact same outfit and the exact same arm warmers and the exact same hairstyle down to the braid going down the right-hand side and the exact same pose as Gracie's art? That's too much of a coincidence at this point. Has this outfit ever existed anywhere else? There's no way I can tell. But the combination of everything together, like if they had this outfit on its own, Maybe, but the same hairstyle. And I would argue this braid down the right-hand side is very specific. But this combination of only one braid down the side with long hair, with this exact outfit, with this exact same pose too. All of that together now is very fishy, which tells me buns was first. As of everything, I think the general public has determined that, okay, bun is in the right here. They got their stuff stolen by this random artist that deleted their Instagram, so they're clearly in the wrong too if they deleted it. Otherwise, why won't they just defend themselves? I hope bun can get more followers from this and get more commissions. It really sucks to have people tracing your art, and I can't even imagine how it feels like to have somebody trace your art and then like Uno reverse card you and claim you were the actual one that traced them when that wasn't the case. So that really, really sucks. Bun's art is so cute. I literally followed them because I thought it was so cute. So yeah, more love to them. Guys, we have another case of art tracing, because when does this stop? So all of this started with this original tweet from Sasuchi95 stating someone just somehow blocked me everywhere a couple of years ago and still traces my drawings. And on top of that does commissions. They follow up with, it's ridiculous, talking privately to them back then was useless and they continue to do it. And then Sasuchi follows up with this viral tweet stating like, come on now, I don't mind if it was used as a reference, but not completely traced with changing the character. And if you're going to heavily reference my work, at least add a credit or ask for permission. I do not own poses, but I own these drawings you are tracing. Please do better if you see this. Also, my cat is like completely tweaking out over there in the corner. But back to the post, Sasuchi attached these photos. It reads top down, and these top sketches were drawn by Sasuchi. So as you can see, this one is Sasuchi's original sketch, and then you can see it overlaid with a color drawing below. This color drawing being that of the tracer. And below is the trace drawing. You can see it again in this one on the right, where again, this drawing was made by Sasuchi, and the second photo is the 1-to-1 overlay, and the bottom photo is that from the tracer. And we can see, if you zoom in, the eyes, the face shape, the body pose, and everything is literally the same. The tracer just changed some elements like the hair, the clothing, but everything else is basically 1-to-1. I just can't get over this, bro. Sasu follow up stating, I spent so many years to improve and develop my work, and it's not cool to take somebody else's hard work. You can also work hard and improve, but after years, you still choose to trace my work, especially after we talked about it, especially that these drawings are also for my clients, and you take them and trace them to do your own commissions. I'm not really ready for any drama, and I don't have the energy for it. I cannot talk go you. I think maybe they mean talk to you, because I've been blocked. All I ask is for them to be taken down and to not trace my work again, please. And again, do better. Then we have Supnova GY asking, if you don't mind, who is the tracer? It's hard to read their watermark. Want to block them because I don't ever want to commission a tracer. Sasu says, I cannot publicly share since I do not want them to get any hate. They happen to still see my account somehow, so I posted this for them to see since I cannot talk to them due to the blocking. I can only put it privately if you just want to block. Supnova says, I see and makes sense. Are you okay with DMing the @ then? If not, I totally understand. And then we have user Kato stating tracer is @Mochi-chan. So this is the Twitter page of the person who is the alleged tracer, Miss Mochi. Their bio states 26, self-taught, artist, no reposting, INFJ, art trades, mutual only, DM for commission, inquiries only. And people in the comment section of Sasu's quote retweet was basically stating, this is from Azir, no way this person is 26 years old and tracing somebody else's art for commission. Plus blocking the OG artist to avoid drama. I've blocked them, the cheeks of some people. But yeah, that's crazy. This person is 26 years old. They're literally older than me. I just turned 24 like a week ago. Tracing is never okay, but I can kind of understand if you're a kid. Like if you're 14, you don't know any better, you know? You're 26 years old, bro. You are old enough to go and rent a car without having to pay extra fees for it. You are definitely old enough to know that tracing is not okay. And they definitely know that tracing isn't okay because they blocked the original artist. And so far, if you scroll their Twitter, they have not made a response about the tracing allegations. But if we go into their media, wait. Guys, this is crazy. Okay, they must have seen the tracing allegations because they deleted all of the traced posts. They deleted these two pieces off of their Twitter. Okay, this is not gonna make too much sense because I'm gonna have to say, trust me, bro, because I looked at this either last night or this morning. By this morning, I mean like 7 a.m. It's now 10 a.m. And they had so many examples of those two pieces specifically, the red-haired girl and the green-haired girl, all under their media. I scrolled under their media, and when people were asking for commissions, they would post their commission commission graphic and examples of those two drawings, the green-haired girl that was traced and the red-haired girl that was traced, as example comms. And I have screenshots from their Twitter that it was on there. This is a screenshot that was from their Twitter with the traced art. This is another screenshot that was from their Twitter, also of the traced art. I mean, you can kind of see it because they have one repost, one like, which makes sense for their size. It's not a piece that was drawn by Sasu because Sasu is a much larger artist. They wouldn't have pieces with like one like only. That's crazy. It's just gone. But they didn't even mention anything. They just like quietly deleted it off their page. Oh, it's still on their Instagram. Okay, but they just took it off their Twitter, I guess, because they still have this piece here. Here's a piece of fan art for series Fauna. I hope you like it. And this was posted December 22, 2023. But yeah, I think honestly, like the nail in the coffin, the biggest irony for me is every time AI artists and tracers put no reposting in their bio, you're gonna put no reposting here. So we can't repost your art without your permission, but you can trace somebody else's artwork without their permission. Make it make sense. And I think at the end of the day, this is a very obvious case of somebody tracing over another person's artwork. We have Sasu's artwork here that was traced over by this other artist, Mochi. Again, don't send hate to artists. That's never okay. That's never something I am trying to condone or encourage people to do. I'm just saying, if you are somebody that has your art traced, it absolutely sucks. And I feel really bad for Sasu that this happened to them. There's a fine line between referencing and tracing, and this artist definitely crossed over to completely tracing. And this is a conversation that a lot of artists have, right? Where it's like, oh, well, I just referenced this other person's art, which is why my art looks similar. Here's the thing about referencing, guys. You need to reference more than one thing. If you reference only one image, only one piece, and especially if that piece is an art piece, you're not referencing like an IRL photo, which then would make sense with to reference one, but you're referencing only one artist's work and that work specifically, then what's going to happen is either at best, your art is going to look like theirs, but at worst, you're going to get tracing allegations allegedly because your reference is literally only one piece. This is why when you're an artist and you reference pieces, you should get a multitude of references. There's nothing wrong with referencing somebody's art if you happen to like their art style or something like that. But you want to have that and a mix of other pieces like real life photos, IRL stuff, color palettes, etc., so that you can take all of those together to make a very unique and original looking piece. If you only reference off one person's artwork and one piece specifically, there's a gray line you're going to start to tread here. Anyways, go check out Sasu on Twitter. Their art looks really, really pretty. So yeah. And apologies for my cat. This is art drama from somebody that traced off of another artist because we've seen this happen time and time again. This is tweeted out by Riku, who goes by Riku. I keep getting DMs about an artist that heavily influences their style and model off my own. And all I want to say is I spoke to them in private months ago. They don't seem they want to cooperate and deny copying or heavily referencing poses, faces, and models. I can only do so much. If they read this, I want to ask them kindly to please be mindful and move on with their own style. I'm flattered they like my art to the point of wanting to replicate it as much, but there's always a limit. To them and all artists looking to build their own style, my personal suggestion is having 3 to 4 main art influences that you learn from so that you can develop your unique style without risking it'll look like it's copying one specifically. Their final statement is something that I always try to tell you guys. Even though I like covering tea drama, I feel like a lot of people who listen to me also listen to me because you want to get like little art tips. I'm by no means an amazing artist either, but I've been drawing for a while, so I have some tips to provide y'all, okay? Here's the thing. Tracing, not cool. Referencing, totally chill. But when you reference as an artist, you should reference off of multiple references, okay? And you should have a mixed medium of references. What do I mean by this, okay? You should reference artists. You should reference art pieces. You should also reference photos. You should also reference live model body poses or 3D model poses, okay? If you reference only one thing, like if you only reference art pieces and you don't have any IRL references, you can have errors in your artwork. Let's say you're trying to draw a person and you only reference the way artists draw people. You may end up with anatomical issues because some artists will push proportions for stylistic choices. Some artists draw people with really long necks. Some artists draw people with very large hands. It's a stylistic choice that makes sense for their art style. But then if you start Frankensteining elements out of different people's art into your own art without ever double checking with a real life reference, you may start treading the realms of reality with your artwork. And it might start looking a little uncanny valley if you only reference art. Same thing if you only reference IRL photos, that's totally fine too, actually. That's chill. But you know, you can also get more of a stylistic aspect if you look at how some artists draw people. See how they push the boundaries and push the limits of their style, and then you can maybe see elements you like and incorporate it into your own art. If you only reference off of one artist, that gets a little, that area gets very, very gray now. If you only reference one artist, you're gonna start looking like a copycat of them. Are you intentionally copying that artist? Maybe not, but that is what's gonna happen. your art is going to start looking a lot like that artist's art, and people are going to start thinking that you are copying that artist. And in best case scenario, it would look like you're a fan. Worst case scenario, people will start accusing you of tracing, especially if you actually already trace off their art. That's a whole separate thing. But this is why, to avoid this whole conundrum issue, please just use multiple references and we will be fine. So anyways, back to the post. Liro says, they showed up on my timeline last night and I was so confused how they could get away with heavily referencing just like that. I say heavily referenced, but I did some digging and most of their stuff is traced. Sorry you have to deal with that. You have every right to be upset. Riku said, I'm also saying copying, but a bunch of stuff was traced. And there were intentions of selling the trace work. I really wouldn't go as far as tweeting if it wasn't as problematic. Mantreat VA says, I've seen many artists use your style. It's not isolated. Riku, facepalm emoji. This was not the point. Mantreat VA says, I can't believe this is what gets a reply from Dai. Sega says, you're proud of provoking an artist you follow. I hope you get blocked now. Isa said, I also discovered 1 to 2 days ago that ever since they followed me, they changed their outfit to what I was making for my model last year. Not the same at all, just blatantly obvious they're copying others. More Blank says, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. So, here's Riku's follow-up tweet. Riku says, since this person's response was to tweet a time-lapse of them drawing art from scratch, trying to prove their art is genuine, I have decided to speak up. Callouts are my last option. I do my absolute best to resolve over DMs. I will not tolerate nonsensical hate or threats over them. This post is in hopes they do better. At Yuki Arts has been copying and occasionally tracing what I make live on stream. I spoke to them back in March, but denied ever since, covering it up as inspiration, and even though I blocked them on both Twitter and Twitch somewhat, they managed to draw a piece dangerously close to whatever I made that day. Here's an example of overlapping the fan art I drew on stream on June 22nd, and shortly after, she posted work in progresses of it. Next, proof of me sketching on stream, and a few days later, their piece is posted in the same angle, pose, mannerism. The background of that piece is the same composition I used for the final artwork. Yellow flat plus lines plus silly pink doodles. You can absolutely argue it's not one-to-one traced because they are able to draw. Still, my point stands, it's copied. So here's an example of the tracing. Oh boy. Wow. This is definitely like one-to-one for the body and pose and everything. They just move some elements slightly. It's still traced though. Here's the second one. This is Riku on stream drawing or sketching this character. Here you can see the piece on the left is Yuki's traced artwork. The piece on the right is the pose sketch that Riku made on stream. See the side by side of the pose. The only thing they changed is they straightened out this leg instead of bending it straight under the body. Here we have this character. This is the piece that Riku made. So you see the hands here, see the outfit, see the hair, the rendering, so cute. See the background with the yellow, with the white line going through it, and then pink doodles. See how this piece, they have yellow, blue lines, pink doodles. Going back to this piece. So this piece, the sketch is from Riku. So this piece, the sketch is Riku's. The colored version is Yuki's. Riku's, Yuki's, Riku's, Yuki's. Even the ears and the hair is the same. Riku says, biggest concern was this one, which was gonna be an adoptable. This base model is heavily copying my Shy Lily model, and the outfit plus hair tufts are taken from the new outfit I'm making her during my streams. This outfit hasn't even debuted and it's been stolen. It's beyond me. They denied it ever looking the same in DMs. Their own model, you can understand my concern thinking it looks like it's referencing my own. Core elements in the latex suit, mid-partition ears are, to me, clear signs of it. I wasn't too worried about this one as I thought it was different though. Okay, when I was on stream, I couldn't find this, but I was able to now find the new Shy Lily outfit that Riku was talking about. I'll censor like chunks of it so that I don't try to like spoil it before the outfit reveal. But here you can really see a lot of the elements are quite similar. The little hair tufts, the jacket with the fuzzy collar, with the little like buckles on the sides of the jacket. Look, man, nobody owns like small little pigtails. Nobody owns buckles on a jacket or a fur collar. Those are common. But if you just see later the history of this person and copying stuff from Riku, it then gets a little odd. But the other statement here, their own model, you can understand my concern thinking it looks like it's referencing my own. And let me say, Yuki's model looks like a ripoff of Riku's model. Look, normally I'm not a fan of comparing two people to VTubers, but bro, if you are like referencing, borrowing inspiration, or straight up tracing this heavily, you're now looking a little sus to me. Let's compare the two. Look, normally I wouldn't say anything. But knowing the fact that Yuki has a weird obsession with Riku and they keep tracing and copying Riku, then this claim makes sense. Look at the hair partition. Both of them have a very, very solid but low V of hair on their head. This is something that Riku has. Riku also has two very, very low ears, like low hanging ears. Oh wow, Yuki's model also has the same thing. And then Yuki's model has two long pieces of bangs going down the side. And I guess to not look like they're copying, they did one. Let's look at the outfit. Riku's outfit has like a turtleneck type thing that crops off above the chest. Look at their model. It's a turtleneck that crops off above the boobs. They made theirs long sleeve instead of short sleeves. Riku's model wears like a skin-tight latex suit in the torso. Guess who's wearing a skin-tight latex suit? This is not as blatant as the Shy Lily, Small Lola drama. Come on top of tracing Riku's art, their model is with a lot of similar elements to Riku's model. Again, normally I don't want to compare two VTubers like that, but dude, this is just so blatant. But also what's interesting here is you can kind of see where they take inspiration from. They have like bangs here. They have straight up bangs with one white side piece and the swoosh here. This was in 2023. And then 2024, they got this like the V middle part with the long side bang with the Yay Miko ears that Riku also has on their model. And again, everything is in context. It's only in context with the fact that they keep obsessively tracing over Riku's art that makes it weird. Maybe if they just really like Riku's model, that's one thing, but Riku then says, I'm getting a DM about them every couple of weeks max. I haven't been replying because I was trying to forget about it, hoping they just move on with the copying. Rather, they post time lapses in the attempt of proving they can do it themselves. The sad thing is, yes, I can see they're capable of drawing. I just wish they did without benefiting off of my own work. Sadly, their response is not owning up to the blatant tracing proofs. Once again, it's being masked as inspiration, study, and referencing. I really wish they were honest about it and admit it, but at least the message seems to have gone through and hopefully they can take action. I want to thank you all for replying and being very respectful and in a civil manner, even though the topic can be enraging and frustrating. So let's see the speed paintings. This is to prove they drew it themselves. Here's them rendering it on stream to show that they are drawing it themselves. I already watched this. I believe in the rest of the process, they did render this themselves because they can draw. So wait, do they start with the sketch here? Oh, that's the sketch. But it's very clearly traced. They traced over the initial sketch that Riku made for the pose. And then they kind of filled in the blanks with their own stuff. Here is a second piece of theirs that they posted a speed painting for. I don't think this was one of the ones they traced, but I don't know anymore at this point. Here's the thing again, you can always hide layers, it's possible, so there could have been tracing. To me, it's only believable if you draw it on stream. And by draw, I mean you draw the whole thing on stream. For the one that was traced, they have a speed painting in an art program of them doing the sketch, and then they rendered the sketch on stream. So we know the rendering was legit. The other part of the process could have been traced, you know? So Yuki says, address the recent post. I would like to say that my first time-lapse video was not a response to anything going on, but was taken as one. I didn't see anything until later on when a friend of mine sent me a screenshot, and I understand and see the issues going on. Dia, along with many other artists, used to be one of my biggest inspirations for even starting art up again after taking a big break from it. I used to study her art and learn how she did certain things to improve my own art and art style. I understand the problem this brings. I have used her art as references before in the past and see how it's become a problem since our first talk. It was never my intention to copy or imitate her artwork, simply trying to better my art. I use many references when it comes to poses from Pinterest and other art sites. I use Clip Studio Paint for my digital art and recording time-lapse videos of all my art pieces I do and have done. It would show if I trace anything, like with my most recent time-lapse where I use the 3D Clip Studio Paint model hands to help with drawing hands and the perspective of them. I see and understand the problem with this whole thing. I see and understand how it can be taken badly. I see how it's an issue. For right now, it is just my art style at this point, and I will be making changes as I go on. Since I'm still learning and changing my style up every day, little by little, since I don't want to overwhelm myself completely, but I will be making changes to my art. I will also be posting time-lapse videos straight from Clip Studio Paint along with my art for now. And then we have other people like Shadow Lily stating, tracing over her art is not inspiration or referencing. It's tracing and you're trying to sell these trace pieces for money. If you took references from Pinterest, how come your pieces look just like Riku's? Do better. Knock Knock says reference and copying are different things. You learn how to color and render and anatomy. Great. Now learn to not take other people's concepts and ideas and make your own. Jaw says all this yap to say it's just my art style that you copied to the point you have them blocked everywhere and kept doing it, and not just style, everything. Never mind intention. How when you would block evade just to copy more? That one honestly seals the deal for me. They got blocked and they just kept going at it, I guess. Here's the thing at the end of the day. Riku has DM'd Yuki in private stating, hey, I see you tracing my art. You are making me uncomfortable. And Yuki never once stopped. I think that's the biggest issue here. Normally, I would try to give benefit of doubt and be like, maybe Yuki was just innocently drawing and just heavily referenced this artist, didn't know that it was wrong, but they have been told it was wrong. They were told months ago from Riku that it was wrong. They were blocked by Riku because Riku was so uncomfortable. But they, I guess, made alt accounts to circumvent the block and then to continue to trace. And it's the worst part too, because it's always was so sad when an artist clearly has art talent, when they're clearly able to draw, but they still choose to take unethical shortcuts for some reason. Why? You clearly know how to draw, so why are you doing this? Why are you tracing off of Riku? And the slight uncomfortable similarities their model has to Riku. Normally, the model similarities they have, I wouldn't blink an eye. But that on top of the fact they're tracing Riku's art really gives me a feeling that they have a slight unhealthy obsession with Riku as an artist, and they kind of want to be them. Just be yourself, bro, and do better. I hope they can be better. And I'm sorry this happened to Riku because they're really talented. Their art is amazing. And it sucks that there's people out here trying to trace a copy off of them. We've talked about this tracer before, and they're back at it again, tormenting the same poor VTuber. So I had made this video 2 months ago titled, "This VTuber traced another VTuber's art and maybe their model too." So this is the VTuber that has been experiencing this really unfortunate harassment from this one random internet person. And this VTuber goes by the name of Riku, and they are a very talented artist. So in this video, I talked about another VTuber who went by the handle Yuki Arts, where Yuki traced multiple parts of their model. I'm just gonna give you the TLDR. If you've already watched this video, skip forward. I will have my editor put a timestamp on screen to when I talk about the new drama, but I'm just gonna recap this for those of you guys who haven't seen, okay? Riku is an amazing talented artist, streams their art process, and then they noticed this other VTuber, Yuki, was constantly copying their stuff. They banned Yuki from their streams, from their socials, but Yuki somehow still managed to use a burner account or something, get access to Riku's streams and socials to continue tracing. Notice this, the one on the right is Riku's sketch from stream, the one on the left, oh, look at Yuki's new artwork. This, by the way, is Yuki's OC. We will compare Yuki's OC to Riku's OC because there's a lot of weird similarities there too. So if you look over here, here is an art piece that Riku had made, and look at the similarities. So you see the side by side here. So the one on the right is an adoptable that Yuki designed. The one on the left is a new outfit for Shy Lily that Riku was designing and rigging. If you notice, there's a ton of similarities with the hairstyle, the face style, the hair tufts were the same, the bangs were the same. And then we go over here to a side by side of Riku's model versus Yuki's model. Okay, note again, a lot of really uncanny similarities in their character design. The Yae Miko ears, the really floppy low ears. Riku has a very flat and diagonal, like triangular sort of hair part. That same hair part is found in Yuki's design. Riku has 2 long side bang pieces. To make it look a little bit different, Yuki only has 1. Riku wears kind of like a turtleneck jacket that is cropped right above the bust with kind of a latex bodysuit. Yuki's design features the same thing. My personal consensus of this was that it's weird that here is a VTuber who is minding their business, just doing their art, and here is Yuki. Their artwork has very similar design elements to Riku. Their model has very similar design elements to Riku. They've been banned and somehow still managed to find snippets of Riku's stream to then trace. And they're back at it again. Here is a tweet that Riku made just today. "The artist who copy and trace my stuff I called out just got back with a new account and is now blatantly copying the current new model I've been making for a client. Dude, there is no end to their shame. What do you even do in these scenarios?" She's also copying the sitting legs toggle. "You suck, dude. Stop ripping me off when I stream." And here is a side by side. And Riku writes, "Please report at Umi Nova. This is the 2nd or 3rd time she makes a new account and pretends to be someone else." So this is the account Umi Nova. If we look over here, oh wow, their model looks similar. Like if you put the side by side here, their model design, oh wow, very uncanny similarities to this model that Riku is working on. Look at the hair color, both blonde, slightly different shades, right? One's more of a honey blonde, one's more of a strawberry blonde. But look at the bangs. There is a blocky middle chunk here, right? That's kind of blunt cut, 2 side swoops, then short bangs that go inwards, level to about the ears, and then the very like swooshy curly part that both of them have. The thing is, this weirdo just makes it just like a little bit different, so you can't accuse them of one-to-one like copying. There's like minor differences, but it is so close, it's uncomfortable. It has made Riku uncomfortable, and we know this person has a history of this behavior because they've done it before. When we put it side by side, the designs look mad similar, with the right one being Riku's piece. So going back to Riku's tweets, Riku writes, "You are so low and creepy staring at my streams and copying paid work for clients. Zero ethics and disgusting behavior even though you you were asked politely this whole year. Calling you an artist is a stretch. And we have other people writing comments with live writing, man, that sucks. I've seen so many copycats lately, TBH, just blatantly tracing over other people's models and copying styles. They still get away with it because most people don't have trained eyes or aren't familiar with the referenced style. Cherry writes, oh nah, hers looks like hot dookie. Dreamy writes, not talking about the eyes because that was already covered last time, but the hair strand is the exact same. Hello, disgusting. We have Zion Zeep writing, girly never stops. When she followed me on her OG account, I was immediately suspicious and had people compare her and your art before I messaged you. Apparently, it's too hard to be unique in this community. Riku writes, she targets my work specifically, so it's creepy. It grosses me out at this point. Avery Luna writes, they what now? I'm so sorry, Riku. I hope that they will stop. Riku says, no, she blocked me immediately and will do this again shamelessly. Aina Nightfall writes, the only solution I can think of is not to stream making models for clients, but it's not a good solution for. Riku says, me having to cap my content because thieves steal it is depressing. I would never. I also think one thing is interesting. If you go to their page, right, they have a coffee link and it writes, just a shy little octopus here to create with you. If you look at their comms, they offer comms, but with no references. So what I mean by this, they have a Halloween your character here, yada, 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 right? But they offer really complex commissions. They offer scab style half body bust shots, half body illustrations, and a full VTuber model commission with zero representative work on this account. They're offering commissions for something they haven't shown artwork for. Now, maybe this is me and my little tinfoil hat, right? But my theory is, again, they're Yuki arts, right? But they can't use the artwork they made under the Yuki alias because everyone's immediately gonna be like, it was you who copied Riku. They had allegedly a skill level of an established artist or somewhat established art thief. They can't show any of their works because all their works already known to have been traced or heavily referenced off of Riku. So I just think it's interesting that, you know, they're offering these comms but don't have any reference photos for anything except the Halloween your character here. Again, I just want to say I am so sorry to Riku because this is literally the second or third time this weirdo has popped up and continue to just weirdly copy and steal and just like imitate them. At the end of the day, they're just a cheap copy of Riku. They want so badly to be them. It's clearly not the same. Be unique, bro. Be your own person. Find your own style. What literally, I don't know what their whole like shtick is with Riku and why they're so creepy about it. So again, I'm so sorry to Riku. I will have their socials linked down below if you would like to check them out. I thought that Riku drama was over, but Riku had made a new tweet between when I had filmed that video and when I had sent it over to my editor. So I'm filming another add-on to this as well because Riku had made a new tweet on October 11th about the situation. So this is the tweet that Riku put out, writing, do not believe her lies. She is saying that this isn't her, manipulating the story more and more. Here's your proof that the same tracer at Yuki Arts is indeed Umi Nova. She went by Yuki Illustrates before this. She keeps lying and rebranding while trying to profit off of traced and copied work. I'm asking you nicely, dude. Stop it. It's pathetic and disrespectful. So this was the tweet that Umi Nova had made. Remember, well, I'm sure you guys remember because this will be the same video for you guys. Umi Nova being the new rebranded but same Yuki Arts tracer. The research you guys have is crazy. I bought my model and am working on what is already a sketch. I'd gladly change things I didn't know was copied, but the base of my model is something I paid for that was already cut up and in folders for me to learn what goes where. As you can see, Riku did some searching where you can look up the previous owners of a username. As you can see, the previous owner of the username Umi Nova on Twitch used to be Yuki Arts, and then they also used to go by the handle Yuki Illustrations. So Yuki Arts rebranded to Umi Nova according to this 3 days ago, and Yuki Illustrations rebranded to Yuki Arts over a year ago. And here you can see, look at this. This GIF I think proves it all. If you go to Twitch Tracker, as you can see here, and if you guys don't know, I love Twitch Tracker. They're a data tracking site for Twitch streamers. You can see the handle Yuki Arts or the username Yuki Arts. When you click it, it now links to the account Umi Nova. So I'm just saying, I don't know what more proof that you would need to showcase this person is the same person, Yuki Arts or Yuki Illustrates, that has been weirdly copying and harassing Riku for God knows how long now. And Riku continues, more tracing my art from when she went as Etsuko VT, yes, a fourth rebrand. As you can see, the side by side, the face shape, the eye shape, everything, even like this specific swoosh here, it's all copied. And then another screenshot of Yuki Arts, and this was on October 10th, writing, TBH, all of this is crazy. I'm over here taking care of my grandmother while all y'all bicker and pull out 4+ old art I did to learn. Didn't even post. Great job, guys. You sure got me wowee. I'm just living life. I got that back from selling my model to somebody else. I'm good. And to me, this is honestly really gross. This person has been called out over and over again by Riku, and they show absolutely no remorse at all. I've already made a previous video about them, and they keep doing it. And that's the crazy thing too. I like to believe that people can learn, people can grow, people can change. I try to hope that people aren't just like fixed beings stuck in their ways. But bro, my last video on them was only 2 months ago, and they're still doing the same thing. They haven't changed at all, clearly. It was wild to me is the follow back. Like, I'm dead. Cyrogan comments, I'm sorry to ask this again, but what is the best way to report them? Twitter's report options are vague and confusing, and I don't know where art theft falls under. I want to make sure I report correctly as to give Twitter the best chance of finding the rules violation. Riku says likely their coffee and any scam theme on Twitter. We have OniKB writing, this is effing ridiculous at this point. People like that are gross. Yuri Tonali writes, the fact that she is absolutely delusional and trying so hard to believe her own lies is so weird and concerning. I hope she leaves you alone soon. This is actually crazy. And then Uminova had another tweet also on October 11th writing, again, the reach is far, especially for someone who doesn't know the full story. When someone helps you with getting started and gives up their things for you just because they can't stream or do art anymore, you take the opportunity. What a low-life OMG. I literally have no idea what they're referring to here. Are they trying to imply that like Yuki Arts gave up and then gave them the model and that they're not the same person? Bro, nobody's buying this, like genuinely. We're not stupid. And if you look at the quote retweets because they have comments turned off, yeah, nobody is buying it either. We have Ushimama writing real quick, just so you're aware we're not dense. There is literal evidence that you're Yuki Arts. If you Google Yuki Arts and you see the website Twitch tracker, we can see your rebrand, my guy. Stop chasing for real. With Eden Valkyrie writing, she rebranded 4 times and still hasn't learned to stop copying and tracing Dia's art. And Mayo writes, girl, if you don't want to keep getting dogpiled on, maybe stop tracing and lying. Literally so easy. And that's the thing that absolutely like blows my mind too. The level of like playing victim these people like to do, it's so easy. And that's exactly what Mayo wrote. Like, if you stop lying and if you stop tracing and copying Riku or anybody else for that matter, then nobody would come for you because you're not doing anything wrong. But because you are being weird and absolutely tracing and impersonating Riku over and over again with 4 different rebrands, this is why people are not happy with you. Okay, I feel like it's not hard just to like blatantly trace and steal like that, but apparently for some people, maybe it is. So anyways, to wrap this all up, I'm once again so sorry to Riku. They are extremely talented. Their art is amazing, and they seem to be a really cool person from the streams that I've lurked in, just to kind of like gather some info about the previous coverage I've done. I am so sorry that there's this weird creep on the internet that really wants to be Riku, where in the past they even had stolen basically a lot of aspects of Riku's model design alongside stealing Riku's artwork over and over again. If anything, they're just a cheap impersonation because you can't beat the real thing. So I will have Riku linked down below again if you guys want to check them out. They have amazing artwork. Hopefully this person can chill the F out and stop being weird and rebranding and copying all the time. So anyways, if you guys like this video, I appreciate it. If you like to subscribe, don't forget to check me out on Twitch. I stream there 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch you guys there or in another one of my videos. Once again, guys, we have art tracing thievery. So let us get into this because this involves Cult of the Lamb. So this is between these 2 VTubers. The first one going by the name of Mako Kaida and the second one going by the name of Lineko. Also, just disclaimer, this might be a little bit jumbled because the original tweet that kicked all of this off by Mako was actually deleted. So therefore, I have the comments and stuff that Mako made, but not the original tweet to go off of. I did see the original tweet though. So Mako had opened up commissions for little Cult of the Lamb chibis. So it started Friday, August 16th. In the DM, Lineko first said, hi, I want to ask for that Cult of the Lamb your character here, if I can ask for prices. Mako says, hi, it's $50. And Lineko says, with the rigging or only the illustration? Mako says, just the art. And Lineko says, can I use in PNG tuber? Mako says, yes, you can, and includes open up and mouth closed PNG plus fully cut up and ready to rig a model. Lineko says, do you have more examples or only the ones I see in the post? I'm really interested. So here is the your character here graphic. So as you can see, these are the commissions that Mako offers. These are super cute. I love how adorable they are. I'm a big Cult of the Lamb fan, by the way. I've already replayed the game twice, so this is adorable. As you can see, there's a pretty distinctive style to the artwork. It is reminiscent of the main character of Cult of the Lamb, which does have a very simple character design. But as you can see, extra hair is added. The Cult of the Lamb looks a little bit different. It's very fluffy. A lot of the Lamb characters have the signature V that a lot of VTubers have, the V-shaped bangs that are side swept and the fluffy hair and little accessories. Mako sends the screenshots and Lineko says, ow, so cute and evil. I really like it. Approximately how much do you need to make it? Mako says 50. And Lineko says, time, sorry, my bad English, I'm from Spain. And then as you can see, Mako is now blocked. But Mako had made a tweet calling out out Lineko because right after DMing, Lineko opens up their own Cult of the Lamb Your Character Here slots. And they write, Cult of the Lamb Your Character Here slots are now available on VGen. Get your own OC drawn in the Cult of the Lamb style, PNG Tuber package available as an add-on. Limited slots available, link below. Retweets are super appreciated. And we can see the artwork. So as you can see, the characters are looking a little interesting. So under a tweet that got deleted, Mako adds, I don't know how to feel. I know I don't own Cult of the Lamb, but this feels very traced of my versions. Why do you need to block me too if this wasn't intentional? I'm so upset and also confused. We have Dark Fantasy Enjoy writing, you falsely accuse somebody of stealing from you and hope they don't block you. It's insane. The style doesn't belong to you. If somebody does something similar, it doesn't have to be yours. Maku says, I know it doesn't belong to me, but this is my version. I didn't hope for them to block me too. I only found out I was blocked when a mutual sent me a screenshot of their art. I looked up their username and saw I was blocked before I can even DM them anything. So Dark Fantasy Enjoyer quote retweets another post that a user by Millie Pillar writes. So in the video, Millie Pillar writes, using a video game style and then complaining that other people are using it too, accusing them of tracing your art seems totally unfair for all of those who accuse Lineko of being a thief. Watch this video. I want to see if you dare continue to falsely accuse. So they're doing copy and paste of the mouth, showing it's not traced. They're showing the two eyes, how the shapes are different. And Millie says, and Mako, people can block you for many things, not necessarily because they're going to do something bad. I have experienced firsthand what it's like to have your art copy and pasted, but this is not the case. Please reflect and apologize. Mako says, why should I? And this version is my new VTuber model version. The trace art I meant is my PNG tuber versions. I won't apologize, especially since she blocked me before I could even question it. And here is a video that Mako added of the overlap. So the original art is theirs. The overlap art piece is Lineko's. And it is looking really similar. And then in another reply to the original deleted tweet, Mako had added 0.5. Of course, people will overlay her art on top of my VTuber model Cult of the Lamb character since it was my latest post, but not the one I made from April. Remember the other person Mimi that we showed where they overlapped the two models and they were like, it doesn't even look the same. But Mako was like, yeah, that's because I made more than one Cult of the Lamb character. Lineko traced one of the characters, not the other one, but you use the other one as a comparison. Mako adds again, and yes, I don't own Cult of the Lamb in all caps. Of course not. My point is their style looks similar to my version. If it's not coincidental, then why is the need to block? I couldn't even ask her anything because I was blocked way before the call out. We all reference the same character as it's the lovable cult leader, it's no one to own. But the style, down to the eyebrows, the way the mouth is further from the original Cult of the Lamb character, I tried my best to make it more of a cheapy anime style, unlike the game where the face is squished together. I tried to at least make it a little bit unique. To say it's a coincidence is crazy because I know a lot of artists that have done a Cult of the Lamb the same like me and they all look different compared to this one. Oh, and I just want to add another example of somebody who could do a Cult of the Lamb character in a different style. Here we have Nixie Len writing, I have my own silly style of it, and they have a really cute rendition of the Cult of the Lamb character. Nothing like the one Mako made, but they still reference the same character. So going back to Lineko's tweet about the Your Character Here commissions, they commented, for all the people saying I'm stealing art, literally this is my reference for the Your Character Here. And the reference photo is the Cult of the Lamb character. Let us do our own research overlap study so we can see and come to a conclusion. So over here, I've opened up all three images. Let me just clean this up for you guys real quick. So again, for clarification, this one on the right is Mako's, the one in the middle is Lineko's, and the one on the left is the original Cult of the Lamb character. So if I take Lineko's artwork, lower the opacity, if I drag Lineko's artwork over Mako's artwork, I did crop off like one tail of the crown here. Basically 1-to-1, everything, eyeliner down. Right, as you can see, the shape of the cape, the legs even curl in a little bit, just the way Mako's does. The eyes are basically 1-to-1, and the mouth is 1-to-1 as well. The only difference is the rendering, in which Lineko has a much more shiny way of rendering. Now let's drag Lineko's piece over the Cult of the Lamb character she claims to have referenced. I mean, to give benefit of doubt, right? Let's try to tweak it a little bit more to get it to fit. It's really not looking as similar. It's still similar, but there's a lot of differences. The mouth is smaller, the head shape is different, the bell location is different, the leg positions are different, fluff of the lamb is different. But let me try that with Mako's piece. Yeah, I'm just saying, when you put the three together, the middle character is looking a lot more like the one on the right than the one on the left. Again, that's just me. Let me know your thoughts. Then Mako had written she belongs in here for real, lol JK, but that's crazy. And that was a photo of the original lineup of the Your Character Heroes with all of their artwork. And then Mako edited Lineko's art in there. And as you can see, you basically can't even tell. Lineko's art is shinier because that is just their rendering style. But boy, oh boy, it takes like 2, 3, 4 looks before you realize that one is the imposter. Mako then added, quote, "It's not tracing if you both reference from one game," end quote. "I know the difference of referencing versus tracing. Plus, why would she block me if she wasn't going to do something shady? This is our DMs. I didn't say anything that deserves a block." These were the DMs that I showed you, by the way. But I definitely do agree too. Two people can reference the same game, but have artwork that looks very different. Even if the game has a simplified character like Cult of the Lamb. I just did the one-to-one overlap for you guys, and it was, I would say not all of it is traced, right? A lot of the head element is their own additions, but the body is basically one-to-one with Mako's art. The lore gets deeper, guys. It gets deeper. Mako then adds, they even copied the sweet girl's text, a text. Also, this is an example of a reference. Nowhere identical to mine, and she's also unique in her own way. So this is an artwork made by Lizabelle, who wrote Cult of the Lamb. Your Character Here slots are now available on Coffee. Get your own OC drawn in the Cult of the Lamb style. PNG Tuber package available as an add-on. Limited slots available, link below. Retweets are super appreciated. And the photo of the Cult of the Lamb characters, it looks super cute and the style is really different. Like as you can see here, it's different in the ways the hands are drawn. They actually gave the character thumbs, which Mako didn't. There's no lamb fluff. They just gave him straight hair. No lamb fluff whatsoever. And the shape of the bell and everything, the body position's all different. Take a note of the text that Lizabelle wrote. They use red flag emoji. Cult of the Lamb slots are all in capitalized and then now available on Coffee space exclamation mark. All the bullet points are hearts and the retweet is a little retweet emote with hashtag VTuber support beam, hashtag VTuber art. Let's look at Lineko's tweet. Lineko's tweet was made 13 minutes after Lizabelle's. Lizabelle's was posted 7:02 a.m. August 30th. Lineko's tweet was 7:15 a.m. August 30th. So Lizabelle's tweet came first. Red flag emoji. Cult of the Lamb, your character slot, all capitalized, are now available on VGen, space exclamation mark. All the bullet points are all hearts. The retweet is the same retweet emoji, but they did use different hashtags. Wow, even the text is the same. And then we have other people laughing as well. Conpay Mimi writes, that is what we call in scientific bad cringe. Alternative 5 writes, wow, I know that person. This is so bad. Why would they do this? Akuji writes, that is so weird. So Mako then follows up the next day, today, writing, she finally unblocked me and I thought we were going to come to a conclusion. I asked her to confirm a few questions I had. It wasn't even much, but again, I was blocked. No choice but to post more proof. Thank you for sending me this. I won't show names so they can stay clear from drama, but Lineko traced this from another creator too. And so this is a DM with somebody who is a sorry to read that. A friend of mine and I was looking into her drawings and we found that it's not her first time doing this. Look, and here's a one-to-one. So as we can see, the pose, the hand position, the tongue, one-to-one. And the creator goes by the handle Starry Neko Art on Twitter. Lizabelle, the one with the other Cult of Lamb, your character here commission, was like, no way. And Hitishi writes, it's obvious what her intentions were here. She asked questions about the product, blocked, then started making the same thing. Some people really don't deserve to have a platform. And this was the artist in question. Starry Nico Art quote retweeted Maku's writing, wow, some people really have no morals, huh? Thank you for the tag in the comments. I would have never seen this. Tracing my art is one thing, but tracing then selling it as your own is so messed up. Please be aware of this Lineko person. Avoid or block them. And as you can see, Lineko had written, and this was written in Spanish, and here's the artwork, and then you can overlap it. And this is the original artwork by Starry Nico Art, which looks so pretty, by the way. This is gorgeous. Starry adds, I would bet the majority, if not all of their work is stolen or traced. Just don't interact or harass them, please. Just block and move on. Kanpei Mimi says, the fact that they try to justify it too by saying, well, it was personal use for this trace, so it's okay. Starry says, these are most definitely not personal use. What the F? The icon she traced was actually for a coffee supporter. So incredibly rude of them. Shimmer says, this is so shitty to see. We used to be mutuals up until I found out they traced Mako's art and now yours? Ugh, what the F? Blocked and moving on. I have no time for tracers. Starry says, it's unfortunate to see, but the best thing to do in this case is just to block and move on. They don't need any more attention. Tan writes, I had a feeling looking at their art it was all trace styles, but I didn't think they'd trace your work, Starry. Starry adds, yeah, there's definitely a certain type of look to trace art that gives it away. Style inconsistencies is a dead giveaway too. And then Maku made a tweet stating, also, if you want the base of how I made it, here you go, you can have it. And they quickly redrew it. So it's a 15-second speed paint where they're showing themselves redrawing the base without referencing an image. Could it be done in Procreate and they have an image hidden behind it? Maybe. But I mean, this is one way to potentially prove that you made the artwork. You know, they literally redrew the base from scratch without a reference as far as we could see. And it looks very similar to the ones that they were selling. And for further proof, they showed a real-time 3-minute video of them drawing it. Which is crazy. Like, I don't understand how much proof Mako has to provide. I feel like to me, it's very clear that this Leneko person has one, a history of tracing artwork because they've done it to more than one person. But two, when we do the side by side, the Leneko art looks so much closer to Mako's art than it does the character they claim to have referenced, like the image they claim to have referenced. Mako finally adds, this goes to show you really can't voice your concerns if you have a bigger following. You will only be seen as a bully. Regarding the issue, I was blocked again before we can come to a conclusion, so I won't speak of the matter anymore. I really can't do anything else, lol, take it how you wanna. This will be my last and final post. I will also discontinue the Cult of the Lamb VTuber model services if you so want. You can commission her instead. Again, I do not own Cult of the Lamb art style, but I'll leave this here for you to judge. I bid everybody a wonderful night. And let's take a look at the video that was attached. This video is basically exactly what you can see, what I had showed you guys. When you overlap Leneko's art with the VTuber model that Mako claimed to they have traced, it's looking damn similar. Really, really, really similar. To where the only inconsistencies you could see in the body and stuff is due to it being traced, you know, just like a little bit shakier of a hand, maybe you drew the circle a little bit wider. This to me is clearly traced. Mako adds, since nothing really came of this and she just blocked me in the end rather than answer my questions, I gave up trying to confront her about it. I deleted my post as well, but I'll leave my time lapse up for safekeeping. This service is now discontinued in my coffee and vegan comms, so please refrain from asking. I know she'll still use it regardless, so you guys can commission from there if you want. I'm seriously shocked by the entire situation, but since it wasn't resolved in the end and there's nothing else to do about it, I just deleted the post and blocked her. I'll be moving on from this situation now and continue on with my work. Thank you to those who saw my concerns and to those who think I'm in the wrong. Your opinions are valid too. However, I'll stick to my beliefs and that's that. We'll now move on from this. Good luck to her and I hope this doesn't happen to anybody else in the future. Donnie writes, you did such an amazing art for me and everybody else. I'm sorry your work is being stolen. Mako says, in the end, I was labeled as a bully, so I won't say anything else anymore. Thank you for appreciating my work. Had to ask a really, really valid question. Why instead of people going and attacking her, they ask her for proof that she really did it? The time lapse would be enough. I understand the anger and the desire to attack the girl, but it's better to pressure her to publish the time lapse instead of showing an image that is supposedly its basis. Sink says, I'm sorry this happened to you and really sad that this service is no longer going to be offered. Here's my thing. I don't like this narrative, right? I hate it when something bad happens to a bigger creator, right? Mako has 7,000 followers on Twitter. If somebody does Mako wrong and Mako calls them out on it, the whole narrative is, oh my god, you're a bully, or like you're trying to deplatform the small artists. What's Mako supposed to do? Mako was blocked, so they couldn't even message Leneko even if they wanted to. And secondly, Leneko is out here blatantly tracing people's artwork and profiting off of it. They trace Maku's artwork clearly. They also trace Starry's artwork. Is Mako, as a bigger creator, supposed to what? Sit back, sit on their hands, and let Leneko just keep profiting off of their artwork? Is that what's supposed to happen? That doesn't sound very fair to me. I feel like a lot of people on the internet also forget because maybe they're chronically online. I don't know. No matter how many followers somebody has, there's a human being behind the screen at the end of the day. Mako is a human being who is just trying to make some cute little art, minding their own business, and a bad actor comes out of the blue, tracing their artwork, trying to profit off of it. Mako is supposed to what? Roll over like a dead dog and let Leneko do that? That's not fair whatsoever. In this scenario, Maku's art came first. Leneko's art came after their artwork. If anything in this scenario, the burden of proof would fall on Leneko because in the chronological order of when things happened, Maku's artwork appeared first. So it is logical and reasonable, even if you don't even do the side-by-side comparison to see how similar they are, attribute that artwork to be like, okay, this was Maku's idea. And then when you do the side-by-side, it is basically one-to-one, right? And then Mako, with the burden of proof on the other party, still provided substantial evidence to show the time lapses, to show the comparison one-to-one and how similar it was, and they redrew it by hand as well. Like, I feel like if anything, Mako has provided substantial proof to show that this artwork was theirs and it was their idea. And again, the whole narrative, oh, they just referenced the same character. If they both reference the same character, and Leneko has shown a photo of the pose they referenced, supposedly the character they referenced, why does Leneko's art look more similar to Mako's art than the character they actually referenced? Again, please don't go and harass people. That is not cool. That is not what we're aiming to do here, okay? It is so unfortunate to Mako that they've experienced bullying and harassment over somebody else stealing their artwork. I am at a loss of words for that, truly. So anyways, to conclude all of this, I'm so sorry this happened to Mako and Starry as well because they both had their art stolen. I will link their socials down below so you can go check them out. I know Mako isn't doing the Cult of the Lamb commissions anymore, but if they do open up commissions for other stuff in the future and you like it, you should check them out. Same goes for Starry as well. And I really hope Leneko can learn to just draw on their own and stop stealing other people's art. This tea is about an artist who is accused of using AI art in their processes and for tracing AI work specifically. This is tweeted out by Bugga BU. I'm just going to refer to them as Buggy. Whether it's traced over AI or not, it's clearly traced over. I mean, look through the account. Sucks somebody can do stuff like this and gain so much support, while there's many artists who work hard to hone their skills, complete understanding of perspective and anatomy, but the lines stay chicken scratched. Color theory is that of a beginner artist sometimes, but other times it's not. I don't know if we are pretending to be this hard-headed. I don't like saying things like this, but it gets me upset. They refuse to show their whole process because of post-aesthetics. Are we smooth? I'll eat my words if they prove, but this looks like something I see on DeviantArt in 2012. Let's first go down their account, okay? So their account is full of artwork of theirs. You know, we have a piece like this, we have a piece like this, we have a piece like this. And while suspicious, right? You know, I don't have anything to claim on these pieces. Does it look kind of AI-esque? Yes. But again, without substantial proof, I'm not going to say anything. This is where I start getting suspicious now. And again, a lot of people will criticize me and everybody else who is calling artists out for using AI or heavily using AI in their work. Again, I feel like I can say this about myself and other people can say this about themselves also. We are not people who will go out of our way to try to like purge artists off social media platforms because we don't want them to succeed. I don't like AI art. So if I see AI art usage or etc., I will call people out on it because it's fucked up. And a lot of people also state, oh, why are you like heavily scrutinizing somebody's art? Like you're pointing out all their little mistakes. I am an artist. I make these mistakes. It's a lose-lose scenario, right? Either I claim somebody's using AI art or AI in their work, and then people will be like, you don't have enough proof. Or I scrutinize their artwork to provide you the proof. And then you're like, oh, you're harassing artists for scrutinizing their work. Blah, blah, blah. So I will scrutinize the pieces. It's only for those people who are not artists themselves. If you are not an artist, I need to kind of give more of a perspective on why things look like AI to me as somebody who is an artist. I do not think they actually generated this piece using AI. I think they traced over AI artwork. That is the claim, that they traced over AI. This is hand painted, yes, but it is painted over AI. So one thing that you can look over here is the hair. We have a thin strand of hair and then it gets thicker and disappears into this other strand of hair and it doesn't reappear behind it. There's this gap here. Where did the hair go? AI, again, does not know object permanence, okay? If one object goes behind another object, AI will not reproduce it on the other side. It's not good at doing that. So this person made this error here. The headband looks very awkward too, with the headband going here, stopping, and then ribbons appearing not from a continuation of the headband, but the ribbons appear about like an inch over to the left, which is a little bit awkward for ribbons to come out. Those are like two things. The hand looks awkward, but you could argue this is somebody who doesn't know how to draw hands. But these are just little elements in their artwork that looks awkward. These are mistakes that typically human artists may or may not make. Once I show you their other artwork, you would probably be able to tell. Here is a fox girl that looks also very reminiscent of AI. It's just the coloring. This is going to be the most arbitrary statement I will make that I cannot back up with necessarily that much proof until later. This is very AI-esque coloring. AI has a tendency to use a lot of very, very saturated colors in their work, like with how bright orange this hair is. And again, if you notice in their artwork, their line work is really shaky. Some parts have no line work at all, like the tail. You can see some elements of like the legs or whatever. There is some very, very thin, sketchy, and minor line work. Some artists just don't really like doing line work, but the level of rendering versus the level of line work doesn't necessarily match. As in, like, you can see some of the rendering around their face just in the neck area. This looks very fuzzy and awkward. This just looks like how I rendered when I didn't know how to do proper line work, to me personally. And here's where we start getting suspicious again. Look at the way they drew this person. This is on a almost pure white background, but they already started adding almost the entire face is shrouded in shadows. The face, the body, the stomach, the thighs. Such detailed coloring without detailing any other element of the work. The clothing, the legs, the hair, none of this is shaded or rendered in any way, but light sources are already applied to the face, the arms, the legs, and the hands. Some artists can render like this, but to be able to render like this would indicate you have a very high level of skill in art. You don't apply all of the shadows immediately. You will render everything and then start blending your character into the environment with, you know, the darker face shading, the darker shading on the thighs. But there is no environment drawn in the sketch. There's no background colors, or it's just suspicious that they already started rendering as if your character was existing in the background, but the background isn't there. This is something that artists with extremely high skill level can do. So this on its own, it's not suspicious, but again, I've already pointed out a couple elements that are suspicious to me. Again, if we revisit here, the very awkward, almost non-existent line work is not that of somebody who has a skill level to me that would be able to render in such a way. Same thing with this again. Somebody who is able to render as if your character was existing in the environment with hair that's kind of missing. I feel like that's not a mistake somebody of that skill level would make. Yeah, the right hand just like is gone. Again, you could argue maybe this artist doesn't know how to draw hands. A lot of us are like that. But you're gonna tell me that you are at a skill level to where you can't draw hands, like this hand melting in, this hand not existing. But you can render your character as if there was already a background when it wasn't there. The reason why I'm whipping out my drawing tablet to give these examples is not to try to shit on that artist, okay? But it is to explain it to those of you guys who are not artists why it looks suspicious. So we have our little head. The way artists typically work, okay, is you first add your flat color. So I'm shading this like little bald stick figure person. I don't want to put too much effort into this because this is just an example. There is something called color theory. And what color theory is that when one color sits, it will appear to look one way. But if a color has a different color background, it would make the color appear differently. So as you can see here, if this character is sitting on a white background, this looks like somebody who relatively matches my skin tone. I'm a little bit off in the color. I'm a little bit more pale than this person is. Now, what happens if I change the background? Okay, now our person looks more pale. They look more tan. They look a little bit more pale. And that is because the background color I use can impact how colors are perceived. So let's say there was a big light sitting behind our character, and our person is walking down a street. There's the moon lighting him from the back. Our character doesn't look very blended into the environment, does it? Because our character looks way too bright to be in this moonlit background, okay? With buildings in the back and a tree hanging over them. So you would add shadows to our character. This is called rendering, when you start adding shadows and things to our characters to make them look more lifelike. What you would typically do is, you know, color select your background or whatever, and then add it as a multiply layer to our character. Then we hit multiply, we darken it like this. Now that I added this multiply layer of the environment color onto my character, they look like they are walking in darkness with the moon hitting on the back of their bald head. Nothing wrong with your bald, by the way. This is called color theory. Guys, what happens now if I remove our backgrounds so that we have a white piece of paper? It looks a little bit odd. Now he looks like he doesn't belong on this white sheet of paper anymore. And that is because I added a lot of environmental colors onto our character to make him fit. If you were drawing him on a blank sheet of paper like this, you know, without examples, we would probably toggle all of this off to make sense. So what I'm saying about this artist, when I'm saying they are rendering as if their character is in the environment already, I mean, they already added a lot of the shadows and highlights that you typically as an artist won't be able to get 100% correct unless you actually draw the background in, so visually you can draw it more accurately. I'm not saying artists cannot do that. I am not saying artists cannot render as if your little character is in an environment that doesn't exist yet. Artists with a high skill level can do this. And even artists of the highest skill level will do final corrections of colors after they draw the entire background in. Let's say after I finish this entire piece, right? Typically, an artist would still add more color corrections. What some artists might do, I don't know. They might, I don't know, add a little bit of an like a gradient layer to this. You can add something like this, like a little overlay to it just to blend your character better color-wise into the background. So this person on a white background already rendered in the shadows and everything when there's no environment behind them. I'm not saying this artist is not skilled, but I'm saying their level of drawing hands doesn't match their level of supposed color theory and blending. This is one of the art pieces that sparked the AI debate. This art piece has a lot of mistakes that people who use AI art does. Look again, the hair disappearing behind this finger, not reappearing. AI again has a tendency to make things disappear, not reappear. Look at the swoosh of the hair, and if it's going up this way, shouldn't it reappear behind this finger? A lot of people were calling out this sliver of flesh appearing behind the boob and like the shirt. What is this supposed to be? So if I put the artwork side by side, they did change the mouth a little bit, right? But if I color select this, and remember, the color dropper selects colors off the artwork, and you can see if the color changes because there'll be movement here on the square, right? If I select the pants, you know, it moves to purple. If I select the thigh, it moves to skin tone. If I select the jacket, it moves to blue. If I select the color of the skin of the face, it's the same. If I select the color of the neck, it doesn't move. If I select the thigh, it's the same. So this artist didn't do any post-environment blending after they drew in the environment. You're gonna tell me that this artist completely rendered this character in as if they existed in an environment that wasn't drawn yet. And they did it so perfectly, they didn't need to correct any colors once they drew the environment. That's odd to me. Even the most professional artists would do some sort of color grading or overlay layer or some sort of color modification after the piece is finished. But this person had all the colors correct out the gate to where they didn't need to do that. It's not impossible, it's just very rare for artists to draw like this. And again, I'm just trying to point out, like, accusing this person of using AI in their art process, it's literally all about context clues and everything together as to why it looks sus. So this artist can render at this level, with this level of color theory understanding that even professional artists will still make color recreations or like adjustments after. But then the hair will just disappear by the finger and not reappear behind it, which is a very AI mistake. They have like extra flesh or skin here for some reason. The hands are also wonky. They're not like great at drawing hands, but they're great at like color theory and background rendering. It's just suspicious. Again, they have another piece. Again, remember what I just told you guys about rendering to where a character is blended into the background. Except once again, there's no background. You're gonna tell me this artist knew exactly what shading colors to select for their character's skin tone with no background already being there? I find that hard to believe. And now the clothing is rendered in with the same shadows and lighting added, but there's no light source drawn on the sketch. There's no color modification. The color theory is perfect for a background that doesn't exist. But then this artist put out this Meet This Artist graphic. A lot of people were accusing this person of using AI art. We have here Foxy Machiko stating this person tracing over AI garbage, getting almost 4K followers. Meanwhile, I can't even get a few likes on whatever I do. I hate it here. Immortalist says, seeing traced AI art get thousands of likes and followers is actually so discouraging as a real artist. Makes me want to stop because all efforts to be genuine is futile. Leah says, perfect perspective and proportions, but unable to draw a proportionate cat. Surely it can't be traced AI, right? So they have an art process for proof, guys. So here is an art process where they stated they decided to use OBS to record some parts of their last drawing. Wait, this is weird to me though. They used OBS to record some parts of their last drawing, but the drawing was already finished. So did they like preemptively record their artwork? Do they happen to record all of their art? I mean, some people do, right? But the way they worded this was weird. Since I got comments about my art being AI, I decided to use OBS to record some parts of my drawing. This would imply that this OBS recording was made after the AI accusations. So did you redraw your piece after you were accused of AI? You drew the same girl. You didn't just record a new piece you were working on. I just think that's interesting. That literally reminds me of the other artist I called out called Qtar Art, who just redrew the piece in Procreate so they could stick the image below it to trace it, but it was still traced. This is weird though. They showed this process video, but it's a cut and splice process video. It's very sped up, but as you can see here, they're drawing the face, the eyes. Look here, they start rendering the face, and then they cut to the body. Wait, guys, I'm so confused. Wait, the colors are different. The eye colors are different. Look at this, look at this. This is a very, very warm tone brown. Now it's a really cool tone brown. Let's use the color selector tool. Again, guys, let me remind you about color selecting and how that works, okay? When I select different colors, this square will move. When I select black, or this gray, look at it moving. When I select white, look at it jumping, okay? Look at the eyes. Let's select the iris, the middle. Look at it, okay? It is very red. Look at this one. It jumps to a more brown. But yeah, look, the eyes aren't even the same. This is one circle, this is two circles. This eye only has one dot. This eye has two. So this is not the same piece, but they claim it is. They stated, since I get comments about my art being AI, I decided to use OBS and record some parts of my last drawing. Did you redraw your old art? Or did you happen to coincidentally have OBS open and recording while you were making your last art piece? Because this is spliced. This is not the same art drawing you did. The face and the body is different. So why did they decide that they were being accused of tracing AI? So skip the part where they actually do the line work? Wait, that's true. They were accused of tracing AI, so they skipped all of the parts of the tracing, but gave us all of the parts of the rendering. And their rendering is suspicious too. I'm not trying to nitpick the art process. I mean, I typically render top down, so I don't render legs up, if that makes sense. Like, they rendered the face, the legs, and then went from waist up. That's just me, though. Every artist has their own process. Maybe they really want to render the thighs first. Up to you, right? It's just one more thing that looks kind of suspicious to me. And here's something people pointed out about their process. They never used the undo button. There's no undos, no redraws, nothing. Some people were defending this artist about the lack of undos because they were like, oh, you know, in traditional art, you can't undo. So therefore, what if they did? It is just one more thing that looks really suspicious. I came from a traditional art background. And you know what? When life gives me lemons, I'm going to make lemonade, okay? On digital art, when life gives me the undo button, I will abuse it. I don't know why you would purposely pick life on hard mode, but maybe this artist really hates the undo button for some reason. But again, this is one more thing that looks really suspicious to all of this. They did crop this video too. Where is your reference photos? Even if I zoom in, you can still see, look, the tools on the side, the color dropper. It's weird that I can't see any of it. And then look at this, they admitted it. After all that mess, I'm here to disclose. My art is heavily influenced from generic anime styles. We can tell. And I use certain tools like AI to help me out with parts I struggle with the most. I use it for anatomy, certain lighting and shading parts I'm unsure of. It helps me learn these things on my own. And with each drawing, I rely on it less and less. And I hope to continue my art this way. If people are bothered by this fact, they're free to not interact. Homegirl, you trace AI work. That is the accusation. It's not even that you reference AI, which is already bad because AI is stolen art, okay, from actual artists. You're tracing over it. And if you're bad at lighting and anatomy, why don't you, I don't know, learn how to draw lighting and anatomy instead of looking at AI? Because the thing is, AI art is not a good reference to learn from, okay? They make fingers all wonky. It makes hair disappear behind fingers and not reappear again, which is like something that they're doing in their artwork because they're referencing AI. AI doesn't get lighting right either. AI heavily adds a ton of highlights to the art piece for no rhyme or reason. AI is not good at lighting because it lights things up without purpose. Why don't you study from life? Study from photos. There's models who will do still life photos so you can draw from it. There's my cat being a menace. No shit, anatomy is hard. There's a reason why artists spend so long learning anatomy. You're out here trying to take the shortcut by using AI, and AI is making it worse because you're not drawing properly with it. It's clear you're making anatomy mistakes because it's anatomy mistakes that AI makes. When I hear, I use AI to help with things I struggle with, I hear, I am lazy and I'm taking shortcuts. And then we have other people agreeing. Toa Central says, but in the video, you showed yourself drawing it. I am an artist too. I want to know because I'm confused. It looks like you weren't using AI, but drawing it from scratch. Exactly. Which is why my theory is they're tracing over AI, the AI piece. People were calling this artist to stream their art on a live platform or to provide a full time lapse. And they literally admitted to it. Levelly says, it's so great that you chose art as a new medium. Now that said, I will mention it would be good to also be transparent on or not on whether AI is used for reference. It builds trust with your audience and creates mutual ground. Take on the craft honestly and learn. The journey is worth it. Sunvi says, references may be AI, painting isn't. I'll say that again. Yeah, I agree. They hand painted it themselves. I also think they traced and completely color select off of AI artwork and painted it in as if they drew it themselves. They were taking commissions, okay? I was reverse Google image searching their artwork. I can't open it because it's gone, but if you see here, Sunvi on X, I'm just gonna post this here and you can see it says Chibi Comms. There was this massive thread that was put out by this person called Merururu. I don't think I'm saying their name right. How to spot AI traced images. A very necessary thread. 1. Quality inconsistency. Since it's traced, there's a skill gap between line, shape, language, and color. Often very thin, unstable liner with questionable parts like the foot and hair here, or good body anatomy and vastly different hands. Background on the art is muddy. So here is an example. This is Sunvi's art. All of these examples are Sunvi's art. So here's an example of really squiggly background lines. The hands don't match the color quality. Again, like the fingers are really awkward and wonky, but the rendering is really good. So interesting. Hair not connecting where it should, toes not being there. The second one is muddy colors. This happens because they color pick from the AI image and don't know why that color is there. Artists use different layer modes / brushes to achieve light, shadow, and effects, while tracers use a round default brush due to lack of artistic experience. So here, how like some of the hair is really muddy, how this shadows and highlights are really muddy. The shoes are really unrendered, and the really wonky looking background where things are kind of crooked. Manipulation and profit. It's usually a brand new account with few images. They often post about being being the victim, like how people don't believe them. They tend to draw for free for followers and open commissions / have a blue checkmark or coffee for profiting. I got my first commission today. I'm so excited. Every time I join an art Discord server, I get accused of using AI, even though all my layers are shown. Banned from another art server because they call all my stuff AI generated no matter what I showed. I guess using references as spending many hours in each piece counts as AI. Manipulation. Since I get some comments about, more stuff about AI, this is what I was talking about. They post work in progress photos that are different than what real artists post. Like on a dim lit art, rendering the skin only with the correct shade while the rest remains untouched. Also, you won't see sketches or any progress videos from scratch, showing the composition sketch phase. So this one, where everything is perfectly rendered with all of the lighting, and then they stop at the thighs. These were ones I already talked about, like this one, where you perfectly rendered the character with the same shadows that would be applied once the background is drawn, but there's no background. Disclaimer, some of these things might apply to real artists too, but mostly you won't see a real artist having them all. Please support real artists and don't support AI people. You can support real artists by retweeting, commenting, and liking and purchases. Thank you. And don't send hate to people. People are calling this person out on it. One thing that's kind of funny is you assuring us there's no hate, but making a post using only one author for all references to what is AI is 100% personal stuff. Can't people be bad at drawing? It blows my mind that so many people are defending this AI artist. If they are a genuine artist, I would feel really bad, but they're not a genuine artist. And this strikes fear in a lot of people because I know so many artists who are afraid of accidentally being called out for AI art. There's a lot of things I want to say about this. One, AI art is trained off of actual art. So obviously there are actual human beings that will get mistaken for using AI when they don't. A big issue that AI art has is that there is a really, really high skill level in the rendering and composition of the piece with an extremely, extremely low level of anatomy and mistakes. As in, these are mistakes that beginner artists make, but they're rendering and composing pieces at a level that like a professional artist does. There's that massive disconnect that happens. And this person has a massive disconnect in their level of rendering versus other aspects like hair disappearing, the rendering being a little bit sloppy, even though the color choice is good, and the hands being really off. That doesn't match the level of rendering, accompanied with a very AI style. And the thing is, if you are a genuine human artist, and especially if you're a beginner artist, nobody's gonna accuse you of using AI because beginner art looks beginner. This is me as a beginner digital artist. Nobody's gonna think I ran this through AI. The level of rendering and the level of composition is that of a beginner artist. It's actually mainly like professional artist that has a tendency of being accused of using AI because the art is just really, really good. If you're a beginner, you're not going to be accused of using AI because your art will look like a beginner made it. I'm just saying this to alleviate the fear that people have. I'm not trying to say this to be shady in any way because a lot of beginner artists have a fear of accidentally being accused of using AI. Do I think for Ruru's point of view, making one graphic calling out specifically one person is fair? Yeah, because I think they used AI. If it was an artist that didn't use AI, no. Buggy, you shouldn't be scared of that in my opinion because it's easy to prove you're a real artist. I was accused and it was shut down because I stream art. Yeah, it is easy to prove something that is true. It is difficult to prove something that is not true, if that makes sense. Like, are you a human artist? Yeah, just go on Twitch, stream your art. Ding, instant proof. No one's gonna question you again. If you are not a human artist, so therefore you don't have a legit art process, it's really hard to prove a legit art process if you don't have one because you can't stream it because it's fake. I think they are tracing over AI specifically. The reason why there is no AI examples of the art they're tracing over is probably because they generated it themselves and saved it to their computer and didn't post it publicly anywhere. They're not dumb enough to use public AI images to trace over. They're tracing over privately generated AI images. And I think this person says it the best. JJ, your shading looks whack because you use AI. My shading looks whack because I suck at anything that isn't basic line art and solid colors. We are not the same. That is too funny, but I do agree. If you're a beginner artist who just doesn't draw hands well, it looks different than AI not drawing hands well. If you're a beginner artist who doesn't render well because you're new, it looks different than AI rendering. The final conclusion is this person, I firmly with my chest will say they're tracing over AI artwork and they were taking commissions for it too, which sucks. I hope again that people can learn and get better. I hope this person can learn from their mistakes, learn to actually draw art themselves because they at least know how to fill in the blank in color. That's like the bare minimum for art, right? They can do the bare minimum. You're like one step of the way there. Just do the honest work yourself and actually learn how to draw like everybody else that is a legitimate artist that had to do. We all had to learn how to draw and go through the processes of it, okay? And you should do that too and stop tracing AI art. And here's the thing, if you crutch so heavily on AI art and using other pieces to trace over, you're limiting yourself as an artist because you won't be able to draw without this crutch. I have received a bunch of DMs from different people all about the same artist. I will make a conclusion after I talk about everything because I'm kind of like on the fence at this moment. But this was the artist in question, and a lot of people have accused them of either tracing or using AI. So out of curiosity, let's look at their media. So this seems to be their first art piece they've ever posted. So this is their VTuber model. I like the tiger design. I think that's really cool. Here's another piece by them. I'm just looking for anything that would look to be like AI inconsistencies because that's something that I typically will point out. Again, AI inconsistencies is something that we have to look for over the course of all of their artwork. If you see it in one piece, it may not be necessarily AI. I mean, the one thing that I noticed that might be a little bit odd in this piece is this hair strand, how it gets thicker behind the crown of the walrus and then randomly gets really thick behind it. If we are going to say it's like an AI trace, that could just be human error though, honestly. So I'm not going to say too much about that. We've all done stuff like that. I've made mistakes like that in my art. We have another piece like this. I mean, this also looks very hand painted to me. Another piece, yeah, looks like a Clip Studio paintbrush. Looks very hand-painted to me. One of their art pieces. This is not giving AI whatsoever. Another art piece, not giving AI also. I mean, you can see this is like very stylized. This is this person's art style. Yeah, the flowers and stuff. The flowers and stuff is not AI. I recognize this. These are Clip Studio paint brushes, which some people argue is cheating. I don't think it's cheating. Yo, you can anybody can download these brushes off Clip Studio Paint, man. And you also have to be able to use the brushes well to make it look good. Otherwise, it looks bad. So these are just Clip Studio paint brushes. They're like clone stamp. You just stamp a bunch of flowers out there. A lot of webtoon artists use it just to speed up time. Like the butterflies also look like Clip Studio paint brushes too. So yeah, I don't think any of these elements are AI whatsoever so far. They're on a tablet. This is now into 2023. Here's a piece they've rendered. We have this one. It still looks to be very in their style. So far, I'm a little confused as to why people are accusing this person of AI. As I'm scrubbing up, I don't really see anything that's kind of indicating it to me right now. But I got a lot of DMs about this person, a lot, to where I was like, okay, I'm gonna talk about this now because there's too many for it to be like a one-off thing. I like the composition of this piece with the mermaid. I mean, a big thing about AI is it's bad at drawing hands. I mean, these hands look human drawn to me. I don't really see like an issue with it, minus there being no thumb, but from that angle the thumb might be obstructed, so I mean, very valid, right? Yeah, I mean, they drew the hand really well in this pose. That looks good. Yeah, I mean, to me, this looks like somebody just improved on making art. I don't really see any of the AI aspects of it. I also, again, I err on the benefit of the doubt to the artist, by the way. So I'm just putting that out there. Like, a lot of people accuse me of being really mean and like bullying artists on the platform. I really try to err on the side of artists. Like, I've had many people DM me like people's profiles being like, I think this person's using AI, but I just err on the benefit of the doubt. And if I can't explicitly prove that you're using AI without a reasonable doubt, I won't say anything. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like AI accusations being thrown out, but I mean, it's easy to prove something that's true and it's hard to prove something that's not true. You know, if you are a human artist, that's easy to prove. Go on Twitch and stream your art process. If you're fake, you can't prove a real art process if you don't have one. Okay. This piece may be looking a little bit more sus to me. I can see now why maybe you would accuse a piece like this of AI. I'm comparing this piece versus the level of rendering they do in the other pieces. This one looks different. This one does look rendered differently, but benefit of the doubt, this just also could be somebody who improved a lot in art. And then we have this piece. It still has the really pointy chin, the feathery aspects of the bottom of the hair. The rendering is quite different though. I mean, these were basically all made in December, right? So I don't know. Okay, so this was a piece that did make a lot of people sus. This piece, this composition, does look like AI style to me, but let's see. Normally with these speed paints, I actually manually scrub through it though, right? So we start with a sketch and okay, so this is something that people have accused this artist of, right? Where he starts on the sketch, if that makes sense. There is already a sketch made. The accusation is that he traced over AI to get the base sketch that he then rendered from. Because if you look at the speed paint, it starts with a sketch. So he didn't show us the sketching process of blocking this out. And then he goes to lining the eyes. One thing that makes it look more normal is like he's adjusting, like he's liquefying this, that, and the third. You see how he liquefied the sketch to make the arms wider, change the shape of the boobs, move the mouth up a little bit. Like these are some things that like regular artists do. AI artists tend to not do that. And we have this piece. And this piece was the one that I think people really accused of being AI. One thing people were pointing out that the style of the pieces look quite different. So I opened these two up side by side, but I'm just gonna say people on Twitter were saying this and people in my DMs were saying it, and I'm gonna agree here, right? This full body rendering versus this piece, the rendering looks really different between the two. This one reminds me more of the way he normally used to render, like the streakiness of the colors on the shadow. Whereas this one, it's very, very well blended throughout the piece. Like look at the thigh, it's very well blended. Where if you look here, it's very streaky, really painterly. I mean, look at the feet here. The feet are a little bit wonky. Totally fine. Look, we all draw wonky limbs, man. But I'm just saying, comparing these two side by side with this piece above me allegedly being made first, and then this full body piece coming second, the quality between the two pieces are quite different to me. And again, these are both made by the same people, allegedly. And the lighting too. I really want to point out the lighting here. I would argue this piece has much more accurate quote unquote lighting than this one does. The right one could be improvement as well, since the right one is the old piece. Both these pieces allegedly were made around the same time. I'm pretty sure, because he posted this one saying Canna evening fan art. And then Canna says, thank you, it looks amazing on May 2nd. I don't think this piece was posted previously that he reposted again on his Twitter. Because normally, even if you are exploring with styles or whatever, if you made what I would argue to be improvements in the stylizing of your piece, those improvements would carry through most of your pieces, even if you are changing the styles a little bit. I would argue both these pieces are pretty similar in style. Besides the fact that they're both pink-haired big booba girls, right? The style is really similar. Of like the posture, the body type of the two characters are similar, but the rendering looks very different for both these pieces, to where it's a little bit odd. The allegation was not that this artist generated any of these pieces in AI. The allegation was that the artist traced over AI. And let's note, the piece on the left is a commission for somebody of their OC. It's not really something that's necessarily traceable, because you can't put in like VTuber name and make AI generate it if it's somebody that is commissioning you, unless they're a massive VTuber with a lot of art that AI can purge from. That's just one thing to note. But I mean, we have pieces like this. And I would again say the rendering for these pieces versus this one looks quite different. And here for this piece, they provided the speed painting as well after they got accused of using AI. They said, I don't know how to prove that I'm not tracing AI besides a few speed paints, but even so, people won't be happy with them. I'm really quite inconsistent with my art as I tend to try out new things and shit, but it kind of backfired on me. So again, the thing that I want to point out with both of these speed paints, remember the other one I showed you, is that both times the sketch is already done. So he doesn't show us the sketching process whatsoever. He could have taken an AI image, traced it, and then removed it and then started rendering from there, but used it as like a guideline of sorts. It's just a little odd that he doesn't show us the sketching itself. Some people argue maybe he sketches on paper and imports it, but he doesn't say that. Yeah, so this is really odd. This is just a little bit odd. Again, he has a sketch, and then after the sketch is done, then he does the blocking. You see this? The head, the torso blocking, the hip blocking. This looks sus to me. Well, because for many things. One, the blocking is normally done before the sketch is done. And then secondly, the blocking also looks incorrect to me. Some people will get mad at me for my usage of correct, incorrect, this, that, or the third. But normally when you do blocking like this, you block it to show the torso. This was way too thin of a torso for somebody with boobs this big. Like, your torso is gonna have to be thicker to accommodate that build. What most artists do is either a circle for the head, or they do like a full box, but they don't cut it in like that and then down for the jaw. So this torso blocking is awkward, and it's done after the sketch, which doesn't make sense. And once again, he didn't show us the sketching process. He starts the speed paint with a finished sketch, which, why? Here's the other thing too, because if he's using Clip Studio Paint can record your art process, right? If he's retroactively grabbing the speed paint from his pieces and he did trace, then of course he can't show us the sketching process because it would show him tracing. So he would have to cut that out and then start it from the sketch. Also in Clip Studio Paint, it's not an auto speed paint feature, so you have to start the recording on your own. So he waited till after he finished the sketch to start recording. So after he has a sketch, he goes and redoes it, makes the boobs smaller, reverts it back to being bigger. Wait, he draws one eye, the clothes, and the rest of the eyes. Some artists do that. This was the same thing that one of the other people that I pointed out for being a AI tracer did too, where they also drew the eye, went to something else, then it went back to the eye. Some people do that. That on its own is not odd, but I'm just saying the way the speed paint starts is very suspicious. This hand is really bad. Wait, I'm really confused. I'm so confused. I'm so lost. I really hope you guys don't interpret this as me making fun of him because I'm genuinely really confused. Dude, This hand looks so good. How did you draw a hand like this? This looks arguably really, really, really good. And then you end up with this. Could be reference. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little confused. We all have our weak moments. I'm just saying. Yeah, he gave up with the fingers. He was like, nah. Wait, what's this? Yeah, conveniently hiding the hands is on its own not suspicious, bro. Hands are hard to draw. We lazy out here, bro. If you can hide it in a non-awkward way, you know? But this coloring has me a little bit confused here. And then it becomes blush. Huh? Wait, why are there just 2 lighting dots on her face? What are these 2 dots supposed to be? Because there's no light source. There's no like something that would cause her to get 2 shots of like dots of light on her cheek. The reason I'm pointing this out is because AI has a tendency to over highlight things and add lighting everywhere, like highlights everywhere. Yeah, AI adds a lot of random sparkles just cuz. Yeah, like these boob shines are just shines. All right, they drew in the door. Final piece. Yeah, I mean, it's just a little suspicious, coupled with everything else, a little sus, especially because the level of rendering in this piece doesn't match his future pieces afterwards. So it's just a little bit suspicious. The hair on the bottom, I didn't even notice. How like these strands get really thin. And then once it goes behind the arm, that we just have like a lot of thick random hair appearing. That's also a different color. There must have been like a heavy AI reference here. Like I've said so many times, you guys are probably tired. AI doesn't know object permanence. So if something goes behind another thing, when it reappears, AI will fuck it up. So here we have thin strands of hair going behind the arm. And then all of a sudden at the bottom, we just have thick hair. All these things that I'm pointing out on its own is fine. There's nothing wrong with it on its own. It's when we tie everything together in this speed paint, it does look a little bit fishy. He has another speed painting as well. So that was one. And then again, he has this one, where this one was kind of the same thing, where he starts with a sketch and then he draws a box and then he draws the face and then goes back into it. But then, guys, our lovely man himself, our lovely man Kyoki himself said, the only time I used AI art is for lighting references / direction because it felt less guilty when I would use somebody else's artwork as references instead. But I got backlash for it and stopped using AI art overall. This makes sense as to why he's accused of using AI in his process. Well, one, because he said he did. But here's the other thing, guys. If you reference AI in your artwork and then you make art heavily referencing AI, your artwork is going to look like AI art. I don't know what to tell you. It's just gonna happen. Because AI art has an indicative style to it. And if you reference its lighting is a very indicative thing of AI. AI has a specific way they do lighting. It's not a good reference for lighting because AI tends to add a lot of extra light for no reason. You'll have a character that's supposed to be backlit, but AI will add like 3 different light sources too in the front of the character for fun. And it makes it very interesting looking. This person's art style is embodying the heavy lights that AI tends to do. I'm gonna point some things out and it's gonna probably make a little bit more sense to you guys, okay? I'm just gonna look at his older piece. Let's look at this older piece, okay? This piece has a bunch of lighting going on. You know, he's got lighting on his forehead, on his nose, top down. You know, his chest is lit up because it's a very top-down light source, but you can tell there's basically like one light source on this character. Even here, you know, the lighting makes sense. Like they're laying below some leaves, light is streaming in between the leaves, lighting up the characters. One light source, the sun pointing down on them. So I want to point out this one, which looks very AI to me. You know why? It's probably because in this piece, he referenced an AI piece for the lighting, and now the lighting doesn't make very much sense, which is why it now looks AI. Did he render this himself? Maybe, right? Who knows? But where exactly is the light source in this photo? I have no idea where the lights are coming from. If you look here, she has what looks like glass panes on her body. She has one shadow cutting straight across her boob, casting the rest of her body in a shadow. But then this shoulder is lit up in a triangle, which looks odd. Is there like a light source front off center like this hitting her? Which would make sense why the top of her head is very lit up, the side of her hair is really lit up. But then why is this hand lit up? Because if the light source is coming from over here, in front and above, this hand is facing the opposite way. So her palm should be lit, but the back of her hand would not be in light. And then why is this entire thigh lit up? Because again, if the light source is coming here, this side of the thigh, this second half of the thigh should be cast in shadow. But the boobs are like giga lit up for some reason. Because obviously it's the focal point of this art piece. But where exactly is the light source then to light up the boobs as well? Like directly in front? But if it were directly in front, then there wouldn't be the side cast shadow on this shoulder and her entire face would be lit. The lighting on this piece looks really awkward. I am not saying this to shit on artists who are not good at lighting. Look, I struggle with lighting too, bro. I'm just saying. I'm saying this to point out the fact that this artist is referencing AI for all of his lighting. He admitted it himself, which is why his pieces look so AI. Because it embodies a big mistake mistake AI makes, which is its inability to light pieces properly. His pieces are lit up very randomly because he's using AI as a lighting reference instead of, I don't know, 3D models or photos of himself or whatever. So he's fucking it up, which is making it look very AI. Whether he traced AI is not something I can necessarily prove, but I can tell you that because he's heavily referencing AI for the lighting, it's making all of his new pieces look very AI-esque. Because again, one thing I want to point out too is that the character is very cast in shadow, right? Like there's a lot of shadows falling on the body of the character, but the background is super well lit. Look how bright the background is. Even though there's a night sky, the background, the room looks super light. So the rest of the room is not matching the shadows that is falling on the character, which makes the character look like it's not sitting properly in its environment, which is also something AI does. If you're an artist using AI for reference, it's like the equivalent of being the cop, but you like recruit a criminal to help you. This piece too, this is the one that people were heavily accusing of him of using AI. The lighting makes no sense, which is again why this piece looks so AI. He could have also traced AI for this one. You know, the sketch looks really sus to me. The speed painting, that is. But a couple of things I want to point out. The top of the character is really well lit. This side of the head again. But there's this diagonal shadow that he likes to draw across the character. Where exactly is the light source hitting to create a shadow like this? Like you would need a high up light source for this, but then the light would have to be, yeah, in front, and then it would cast like a shadow from your neck down like this. It would light up your boobs, yeah, but then the rest of your body would be mainly in shadow. So the fact that there's like, this arm is lit this way on this side kind of looks like there would be a light source here lighting the side of the arm, but the boob lighting indicates it should be high up and on this side, going down like this. A little bit awkward to me, the lighting. It again is like a bunch of random light sources hitting on the character. The lighting behind them is awkward too, to me personally. Like it is dark, yes, but it's a kind of bright purple color. It's like not very dark behind them. So their back maybe should be cast in some sort of shadow as well. If for my references, I only reference photographs of humans, my art is gonna come looking very humanoid, very realistic. If I reference only anime for my art, I'm gonna have a very anime art style. If I reference only Pokemon to make my art, well, all my little characters are gonna look like they belong in Pokemon. Your art is going to embody your reference. So if you use AI as a reference, well, I hate to be the one telling you this, but your art is gonna look AI. Whether you did use more than just AI as a reference and you traced over it. Oh, but I have more tea about this guy, by the way. This is not it. There was somebody on Twitter who DM'd me who wanted to remain anonymous, and they have proof of this person tracing. The first one's about this piece. Remember this piece, the one that I told you is extremely sus due to just how inconsistent the lighting is across the piece? The person who sent me the DM generated an AI girl, an anime AI girl, and the faces overlap perfectly between the AI face and that drawing, the Christmas drawing that I first showed you. The rest of the body is in a different pose, but the faces themselves overlap like 1-to-1. The next one is this. So the photo on the left is his art and the photo on the right is somebody else's art piece. And what we're referencing is the face. Look at the sharp swoosh of the nose and then how sharp the chin is as well and how thin the neck is. And look at it overlapping. The face overlaps almost 1-to-1. So if you look here, the extremely sharp nose and then the flat mouth and the really sharp chin and the long neck and the swoosh. Look at the swoosh of the body here. Almost 1-to-1 for the body type. Of his character, where did the right arm go? Is the right arm down? If the right arm was down, we would be able to see it. There is a big gap here where the hair is, where the arm should be visible. Yeah, not only is the face basically completely traced and lined up, the arm is gone. So we have this example here. The left, this is his OC, right? And another character holding his thing. And then this is on the right of a different piece. 1-to-1 overlap with the faces, the sharp nose, the face shape, the sharp nose, the almost exact same face shape. He just does like a really sharp chin on his art style, so he probably sharpened it out. But it's very, very 1-to-1 here. And we have this one. This is his OC. This is another person's artwork. Look at the shape of the nose, the sharp chin, the pose, like looking over the shoulder like this. Yeah, the face lines up basically 1-to-1. And these are all his older art, by the way. This is probably why they now use AI references to not get accused of being a copycat. Yeah, that is the best theory, and that's the one that I believe, honestly. It kind of looks like this guy was tracing over people's art back in like 2022-ish, got called out for it, and then was like, oh shit, I need to switch up my MO, I guess, and started photo bashing AI pictures together to then use as a reference instead, because it's less traceable, because you can generate AI images onto your computer privately, so other people don't have access to the AI images. So they can't just compare your art piece to somebody else's art piece. They'll have to compare your art piece to an AI generation that is only on your computer, so it is quote unquote safer to do. But that is like the worst case scenario, right? Best case scenario, this guy is a dumb and clueless artist that started using AI art as lighting resources, and that is why his art looks really sus, because he's referencing AI lighting, which makes his art piece looks like it's made of AI, because AI is not good at lighting. And yeah, so it made it a big mess. So I'm curious as to what you guys think. Do you guys think that it's the first one or the second one? Do you think he's just maliciously using AI tracing over it and passing it off as his own work, especially because he did used to trace over other people's artwork in the past? Or is he just misinformed, using AI as lighting references and getting called out because it's AI lighting references, so it's gonna look very AI-esque? I do think, for me personally, given the fact that he has traced in the past, I am not as likely to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. Because you already did it in the past, I can't forgive you for what happens in the future. But it could be half and half too. Maybe he's trying to get better at drawing himself and just heavily referencing AI to the point where it makes his own art look very AI. The thing is, the saddest part is this guy is also very clearly talented at art. It's not like this guy's not talented by any means. So like, just do it yourself, bro. Just learn yourself. You clearly know how to render and stuff like that. You just need to learn a little bit more. Like the rest of us, I do too. And we'll be good. Speaking of artists that are capable of drawing, but then also still somehow use AI in their processes for some goddamn reason, we have this guy who is, oh my god, this one is going to frustrate you guys because it frustrated me. This is an extremely well-detailed thread put together by Neb's Good Takes. Nebs, you have good takes. This is a thread documenting how Francesco Mattina, I'm not saying that right, I apologize, keeps getting work at DC Comics despite having been caught tracing art several times and is now generating variant covers with AI. What in the AI is this? We can get into this. While I'm posting all examples I can find, I'm still definitely missing some. So if you know other cases of Francesco Mattina's blatant plagiarism, then feel free to post examples yourself. So the first one is, his theft was first, noticed in May 2017, where Bleeding Cool posted an article noting that it looked like Francesco traced Ian McDonald's premium slideshow collectibles art print on the left for his Venomized variant cover of Jean Grey on the right. We look at this one. This is the original artwork by Ian McDonald. This is the traced one. If you put them side by side, it looks really suspicious. I'm gonna add another disclaimer. A lot of people are gonna be like, oh, it's just a coincidence. It looks so similar, you know, with AI and with art tracing. Sometimes one piece is all you need to determine it, but very infrequently. Mainly the way we determine whether it's made by AI or whether it's traced or both is through a collective history from this artist. So here we have, later in 2017, Ji-Hyung Lee accused Francesco of tracing his piece for a variant cover of Venom number 150, where you can see that Mattina blatantly took his art, mirrored it, and tilted it. So this one is Ji-Hyung's art, which looks really, really good. And then we have Francesco's piece. A little bit odd. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Francesco's piece, flip it, and then tilt it a little bit. The pose is exactly the same. The distance that the shoe is hanging off the foot, like the distance between the heel and the shoe, is the same. The leg angle is the same. The body pose, even the boob size, is the same. The only thing that's a little bit different is this hand is missing in this piece because it became like part of Venom. 1 week later, Bleeding Cool posted an article noting that it appeared Francesco has traced a digital magnetosculpt by CG artist Daniel Bell, current art director of Slideshow Collectibles, for Martina's Venomized Astonishing X-Men number 3 variant cover. This is the sculpture. This is the cover. If you look side by side, the body, the pose, etc. is really similar. What I really want you to notice though is the cape. Look at the swoosh of this cape on the sculpture. Look at the swoosh of the cape on this piece. A lot of artists use references for their art pieces. Sculptures are references, poses are references, but if you are going to trace off of a reference piece, then the reference piece should also be something you own. You know Riot Games, right? They make League of Legends, they make Valorant. When Riot Games makes their splash art, they do kind of trace off of photos, but they take the reference photos themselves. So there's like photos on the internet of Riot devs, you know, holding a stick and then like crouching down to try to pretend they're Nidalee or something. This sculpture that was traced over is not owned by Francesco. It is a different artist's work, which is now where you get tracing being not ethical anymore. Now we have the fourth one. In January 2019, Walter O'Neill, number 3, former art director of Slideshow Collectibles, made a post accusing Francesco Mattina of tracing his Punisher art for a variant cover of the Batman Who Laughs Volume 2. While seemingly a generic pose, the hand and gun placements line up perfectly. I definitely would argue this example is probably the weakest one out of all the examples we're given, because I'm gonna be blunt, this looks really cool, but the pose is a little bit generic. It's just a dude holding a gun. However, I will say, take a note at the hand placement and the magazine. Like, look at the curve of the magazine. The magazine weirdly looks exactly the same on both guns. Even the hand placement with the 3 fingers and the index finger lower 3 fingers, index finger lower, and thumb over the gun. It's just a lot of similarities, you know? And we have this one. In Walter's post, he also mentions how Francesco Mattina had blatantly traced a Judge Dredd piece by Greg Staples, who had also made art prints for Slideshow Collectible. This one is probably one of the most blatant ones. You can overlay this over each other, and it's basically one-to-one. Like, even the nose, placement of the helmet, the head angle, like the jawline. This jawline is shifted up a little bit more forward, which looks actually weirdly unnatural. But actually, that is really odd on this piece. Anatomically, this looks very accurate because obviously it's made by the OG guy. But then this jawline is like, it looks like his jaw's broken and shifted upwards. Like he had like jaw reconstruction surgery or something. Again, I am not making fun of artists who make actual art. This guy is a known art thief who also is known to use AI, which is why I am making fun and mocking his artwork. I would never make mockery of an actual human artist. And then we have this one. Walter then noted that Francesco Mattina's variant cover of Batman #5 had also been traced from an older Batman commission by Gabriel Del Oro, who, by the way, has also made prints for Slideshow Collectibles. You notice a trend? He keeps stealing people's art who has made art for Slideshow Collectibles. So we have the OG Batman drawing. This is gorgeous. Oh, look at this Batman. And if you put it side by side, the placement of the cape, like how the cape cuts upwards on the center of his pec and then it goes back down like that, the head angle, everything, the shoulders, all of this is the same. Even like the leg pose, the knee up like this, it's basically one-to-one. At the end of a bleeding cool article covering this incident, a post by artist Adi Granov, I'm sorry, I'm butchering everybody's names here, who, you guessed it, also sells prints on Slideshow Collectibles, was shown saying Mattina had traced his work too. Writer Rich Johnston then noted Marvel had cut ties with Mattina in 2018. In 2020, comic artist Alex Gardner accused comic artist Francesco Mattina of tracing his Annihilation Scourge Alpha #1 variant cover for a variant of The Flash number 750. Naturally, Alex Gardner also sells his print on the Slideshow Collectibles. But take note of this character. Look at the pose of the Flash. And here's more proof. Additionally, while in the comments of Alex Garner's post, I saw that Sean Strange C posted this image showing Francesco Mattina had also traced his variant for the Joker #1. This is from Riot Games. This is DC. You just mirror it, and the knife poses are the same. Later in 2020, DC Comics rewarded Francesco Mattina's theft by letting him design the box art for Batman Death in the Family. Reddit user Beyond9000 noticed the entire left side was traced from a piece by artist Zine Chin. So here is Zine Chin's art. Notice the floating teeth and the broken jaw. And here is Batman. Notice this section with the floating teeth and the broken jaw on the bottom. Even though the face here is different, look at the cutout on the bottom. Look how there's like an N and then 2 little crumbs and a little piece that sticks out. Look over here. There's an N, there's 2 little crumbs and a piece that sticks out. And then look at the jagged edges over here too. The shape is literally the same. He just stuck like somebody else's face over it. If it's a one-time case where 2 art pieces tend to look a little similar, it's suspicious, but it's not something that is warrant necessarily calling the artist out because it's a one-time case. We can give them the benefit of the doubt. You never know. Maybe it is a genuine accident. But at this point, I have showed you, I think, 8 examples of an almost one-to-one comparison between somebody's original artwork that also coincidentally almost always also had their art in the Slideshow Collectibles and Francesco's work. All of this together with the frequency of it and with how many instances there has been of Mattina, this DC artist, having art that is one-to-one traced over from other artists, we can confidently say this guy has traced. So Neb says, at this point, you may have noticed that while Francesco Mattina does trace from other artists, he still has the technical ability to draw on his own digital art, yet still chooses to plagiarize regardless. You may also be wondering why DC still works with him, and here's the answer. Wow, look at the comments. This is so sad. I haven't stopped buying his covers. If I'm an artist, I'll be mad too, but I'm only a consumer and I like his covers and I will continue to buy them. I hope your pillow is always warm, Jetman. Still gonna buy Mattina covers. Mattina can't file a defamation suit because he would have to prove not only that what accusers were saying untrue, but they also knew they were lying about him. I think Mattina's smart by ignoring it. Love that gamer note. It just is so discouraging that so many people are gonna turn a blatant eye to this and just be like, yep, I'm still gonna buy it. It's okay. I believe in karma. All of y'all are gonna have warm pillows for the entirety that you're supporting this guy. And this is another case of where it is harder to detect that this guy is using AI, which we'll go into later, because he can draw. So that makes it harder to detect because sometimes there's elements that look more legit than other AI art because there is some actual human rendering going on with it, but it is still using AI. Yesterday, DC revealed their September 2024 solicitations, in which Francesco Mattina has variant covers for Superman number 18, Batman the Brave and the Bold number 17, and Action Comics number 1069. People immediately noticed that all three of these seem to be AI generated. This looks very AI. I'm gonna add a disclaimer right now. Every single time I nitpick AI art, people are always like, oh my god, Kat, you hate artists. Like, you're just making fun of this guy's mistakes. Da 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 da. I do not hate artists, okay? I hate people who use AI. And I make fun of the mistakes that AI generates. I am not making fun of human errors that happens in artwork that I have made, that all of us who are actual human artists have made. I am mocking AI generation. I think using AI is not good in general, but this guy is profiting off of it also because he is a hired artist by DC. So he is making money from using AI, which is even worse. The first one that we can see that's fucked up is look at the Superman, but except he has a racetrack on his chest. The perspective of Superman's chest is, you know, he's got pecs, but it's relatively flat, but it looks like the logo is like sticking out at a perpendicular angle. One, that's odd. And two, it looks like there's like a Frisbee or a Beyblade in the middle of it. And again, another disclaimer, if you are a human artist that makes these mistakes, I am not talking about you. Human artists makes mistakes all the time. So we've all done that. This is made by AI. And this guy is known to steal and trace artwork. So we already know this guy's a thief. We have this one. Batman zoom in behind this dude. Oh, I need to like zoom in to see what is wrong with this one. This one, we got Superman zoom in with like pupil in the back here. If you look at the Superman logo, it's supposed to be the letter S, right? So we have an S, but then we have another line down here. And then the diamond closes at the very bottom. So what is this like extra line here? Again, we can determine this is AI because human artists place everything there with intention. Every element that is put on art pieces that is drawn by a human being is put with intention. So why would you intentionally draw a second bottom part of the S and close the diamond below it? They literally drew the Superman logo wrong for a hired art piece for DC. You're gonna tell me that that was a human mistake? Sometimes you could accidentally draw the logo wrong if you're a human artist, you know, happens to all of us, but this guy is hired to make art for DC. You're telling me that he didn't double, triple, quadruple check to make sure that the logo looks correct? This is also a guy who has made so many art pieces for DC. So you're telling me he has made hundreds of art pieces for DC and he still doesn't know what the Superman logo looks like. And again, this is a guy who is known to steal and trace artwork. Isn't this art supposed to be run by an art director? Like, there are people who are supposed to approve the artwork before it goes into print. So who greenlit this? Oh yeah, and more in AI. Look at her earrings. She has one humongous hoop and then one really, really tiny earring. It's very important to be careful when accusing artists of using AI, as these programs match the style of prominent digital artists and blur lines. Thankfully, I don't have to be careful here since Francesco Mattina wasn't careful either. People always tell me, Kat, oh my god, why are you accusing artists of using AI? How dare you? You could possibly be hurting or their careers. When I talk about accusing people of AI, and when I accuse people of using AI, it's when I have a large amount of their artwork I can look at. If it's one piece with some inconsistencies, we can give them the benefit of the doubt. They could have used AI in just one piece, but they also could have had a bad day and made some, you know, mistakes in their drawings. Over a large quantity of pieces, if we see a consistency in errors that are errors that AI has a common tendency to make, and a level of skill that would indicate this person shouldn't be making these mistakes. AI has a tendency to make what is considered beginner mistakes, oddly placing elements where they don't belong. These are mistakes that beginner artists make, that I made when I was a beginner. These are not mistakes that somebody like Francesco Mattina, who is a professional artist who is hired by DC to go make art for their characters, should be making. But again, this guy is a known art thief. The first thing again is the Superman logo, like I pointed out. Look, there's the bottom of the S and there's another bottom of the S. Again, this happens because AI is bad at writing. So AI probably effed up and finished the S, but then like, you know, tried writing another S down here. This Batman one, it looks like the bat logo here doesn't have the ears. We got one wing, the other wing is melted off into nowhere. And again, you're gonna tell me that a guy who is hired by DC to make art of their characters and has been hired to do this for years still doesn't know the Batman logo. Also, Batman's eye is really tiny. And then this was what I pointed out earlier, how on Superman's chest, he's supposed to have the Superman logo, except the logo looks like a racetrack with a Beyblade inside the racetrack. So this one's really sad. That all being said, DC has made it clear that they'll continue to work with Francesco Mattina unless there's loud enough pushback, which seems pretty achievable right now. Bridget LaMonica says, the tragedy is he seems to have real talent. He's just not using it and shooting himself and all these artists in the foot. DC, you gotta cut this guy loose. I mean, at the end of the day, it just sucks to see this because when you see art theft and people stealing artwork, you would hope that from an industry perspective, companies would make a stand and like rally against AI, and that if they see this happening, that they would fire him for his usage of AI and his usage of tracing other people's artwork. There's enough examples over and over again to prove that this guy is a thief who traces artwork and who also uses AI in his artwork. And yet DC not taking a stand against this guy and kicking him out is honestly really disappointing to see. And it's something where it kind of sets the precedent that, oh, if these corporations will continue giving somebody who steals art money, then how could us artists actually have faith in this corporation? Not that we can have faith in corporations in general. I mean, they're all like soulless leeches. But the tea with this artist is the fact that this artist was initially accused of selling AI art. It was an insane accusation. As people went through the accusation, it was revealed that this artist may or may not be using AI, questionable, but they are tracing. They're a big artist that nobody would have expected this to happen with. This is their handle. It's Yurei, or Yurei. I don't think I'm reading that correctly. They're an illustrator, they have an art story, they have an email, and they also tabled at Anime Expo. Do you see how many tabs I have open, by the way, to cover this? You tweeted, am I fucking crazy? Or are people actually fucking crazy? And what comes in question is a couple of photos. It is a long conversation they had with somebody that purchased from them. But basically, these are tweets on the accuser's Twitter page that Yurei screenshotted, where the accuser is accusing Yurei of using AI in their artwork after they purchased a couple $100 worth of art from them at Anime Expo. The accuser said, man, if I had a bad experience at AX anytime prior, I don't recall it nearly to the same extent as what happened on the morning of day 4. It left such a sour taste in my mouth for real whenever I remember it. The accuser then quote retweeted that stating, I think the artist has been using AI to keep up with the algorithm. I want my money back for real. They can piss off to the sun on God. So in the beginning of all of this drama unfolding, there was two things that was happening basically. The accuser had two complaints. Their first complaint was that people were cutting them in line, that they got in front of Yurei's booth first at around 8 a.m. in the morning, maybe 8:30, to queue for when Yurei was going to open, because Artist Alley opens technically at 9 a.m. in the morning. And they had items they wanted, and they were really upset that they weren't able to get the items, because after they were waiting at 8:30, super early, first person there, other people later came. And because you can't officially queue before the Artist Alley officially opens, that when the con officially opened, people just kind of cut in front of them, purchase all of the stuff that they wanted. Is that really frustrating? Yeah. And the other thing is that the accuser accused Yurei of using AI in their artwork. And I'm going to show you something, and it's going to sound insane at first. But going back into this is a conversation that accuser then had with Yurei. It's the same person from what I know. The accuser said, I will not be negotiating anything other than a refund. Let me remind you, the accuser had already purchased a lot of stuff from Yurei. This artist made me incredibly upset over how they disrespected my time, only to later turn livid that I purchased anything from them given their blatant use of AI after further investigation. I have never had to do this and have otherwise cordial interactions with every other artist I've come across at conventions. Yurei said, may I know what investigations that prompted you to believe that I was using AI? Evidences would greatly help in understanding the situation as I draw everything by hand. You can view the time lapses on my Instagram. And they provided a link to their Instagram. The accuser said, this is hefty, so bear with me. Time lapses are not provided for the pieces I suspect of incorporation of AI. These include the Boohill plus Acheron plus Sunday plus Robin headshots, Adventure Teen art, and Arlet Chino drawing which have nonsensical and inconsistent aspects of the drawings that are highly implausible to be completely organic. Burden of proof would have to fall on you, as I can only suspect you of using AI, but considering I purchase items utilizing artworks I suspect of AI, I cannot then be sure whether or not you may have used AI in other works. I could point out the flaws and inconsistencies in those works, but again, all I can do is suspect based on those flaws and inconsistencies like any other suspicion of AI use. I don't suspect all your art to be using AI, but those I mentioned, there are aspects that are just not consistent with your more plausible past works. Again, I will not be negotiating anything other than a refund here, especially given the amount I spent at your table was not small by any means. It was a couple hundred. I already have a notably poor experience with you at AX, which left a sour taste in my mouth when I have never had issues with any artist prior to the past 3 or 4 years. Let me remind you, that was the queuing issue where they were queuing at like 8:30 in the morning before con open, expecting to get an item, but then somebody cut them in line. But alongside my suspicions of AI use and consulting with other artists on what they think, I feel extremely cheated of my time and money. Had I taken a closer look at the works, I would have never bought from you to begin with. As stated before, either I get refunded the full amount I spent at your table, or I will initiate a chargeback through my card issuer. I at least wanted to allow you the chance to avoid that route. I'll attach what aspects of the arts made me highly suspicious, but again, even if you try creating an explanation, I'm very much done doing business with you in the future. This is my first time even considering a chargeback in my history. And they added photos of the relevant images. Again, I'm not looking for explanations. I was initially very frustrated, had wasted time for merch featuring one of these works, purchased merch featuring one of these works, and overall would would not have spent a penny had I taken a closer look. When I first saw this, by the way, I thought this was the most insane, unhinged email to see. Because again, in every story, there's always two sides and the truth. And so far, all I got was Uray's side, showcasing how crazy that person is. It did feel a little nuts. So then in the original tweet, Uray included some of the photos that the accuser had sent them, highlighting aspects of the art that look like AI to them. Let's take a look. And when I looked at these, they did look a little bit odd to me. But again, I'm not trying to nitpick people's art, so I wasn't too critical. A couple of things this person, the accuser, is highlighting is one, the kind of wonky necklace happening here, the uneven collarbones. They highlight the collarbones here, but if you kind of look, the perspective of the angle of the chest doesn't match up with where the collarbones should be. The boobs are kind of facing this way, but the collarbone is lined up over here, which is odd. Is it AI? Maybe, but I would say from an anatomy perspective, this is not great anatomy. Does this artist have a really good knowledge of rendering? Yeah, this artist renders very beautifully, but there is like pretty big anatomy mistakes, I would say. Her torso is facing this way, given the angle of her shoulders, but her cleavage is going the opposite direction. And then the collarbones are also in the opposite direction. Here's another thing too. You can see the collarbone line even through the clothing. That could be a rendering choice from the artist, but it is a little bit odd. Here's another thing too. For AI has a tendency to follow lines when they shouldn't follow anymore, and to have lines disconnect when they shouldn't disconnect. Real artists can also do this, but it is a tendency that AI has. And one thing, if you notice, there's like a cross here with the clothing. You see the cross, how it goes like here from this corner of the chest, it goes up, 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 up. And then it intersects with this other neck detail. And the cross should stop, but the line actually continues upwards. You see there's like a faint area where the line actually continues. Could it be oversight and just like extra brushstrokes added? It could be. Could it also be AI? Yeah. Other aspects here, if you look at this Boot Hill drawing, forgive me if I said the character's name wrong because I don't really remember. The hand holding the glasses is a little bit awkward because you can see the perspective of the glasses. Isn't he supposed to be holding his glasses on his head? So why are both fingers behind the glasses? No hands are holding the glasses, if that makes sense. If I have glasses, you know, even if a sunglass on your head, like you would hold it, your finger would touch the frame. It wouldn't be behind the frame like this. No part of his hand actually like makes correct contact, quote unquote, with the glasses for it to kind of make sense. Is it a nitpicky thing to point out? Yeah, but is it something that we do have to point out given context of everything? Yes. But here's another thing that AI has a tendency to do. They have a tendency to add elements when they don't belong because they don't know Genshin characters very well. Here's a photo of Boot Hill with his hat, and as you can see, it's not the correct leaf. Like the leaves aren't correct anatomically. The buckles are silver, not gold. Oh wow, the bullet earring looks odd too. That doesn't really look right either. Nor is the outfit correct. I mean, we can argue, like if you look at it, there's a lot of inconsistencies or incorrect elements in the artwork for Boot Hill. It's not like a one-to-one correct outfit, I would say. Could that just be due to like artist mistakes? Maybe this artist doesn't play Honkai, so they're just like looking at photos of the character to draw it because it's popular? Maybe. I do think the like swooshy effects here, like these wiggle effects, are a little bit odd on the clothing. And here's the thing, AI has a tendency to incorrectly draw Genshin and Honkai character outfits because they're really complex. AI is not good at drawing complicated outfits, complex outfits. So if this artist did use AI in some part of the process, this is a gray area. It's not definitive. Just because you got the outfit wrong doesn't mean you used AI, but it's another thing that we kind of like add to the list of like sus behavior. Yeah, AI also has a tendency to add extra elements for no fucking reason. Artists are lazy, bro. And like when you have to do or draw extra things as an artist, typically like you don't really want to unless it's necessary. Another thing too is the glasses. Like the leg of the glasses just disappears into the hat. Going to this character again, I would say the fingers are really awkward here. For me personally, looking at it, because if you see, this first finger looks right, the second and third finger looks right, but then why is there a knuckle here? This knuckle is what looks awkward to me. I think the thumb looks fine to me. This knuckle specifically, that doesn't make sense. I don't know how you got that hand position, but to get that hand position where you're like holding this, you have your other finger straight, it just looks a little bit odd. I mean, it just looks like this artist is a little bit shaky in their anatomy, but they're very good at rendering. Oh, let me zoom in. So here were other accusations the accuser had. They were highlighting how the coat should be shaded, but there's no shading on the coat, that the flow of the coat doesn't really make much sense. And I mean, I can agree. I mean, I think in this piece specifically, it looks really pretty if you look at it on first glance, right? The rendering is beautiful. But then if you kind of like think just a little bit about what's happening just right over here, it starts to get a little bit confusing. just right here. Are they I guess they're trying to shrug the coat off of their body. I think that's what it's trying to indicate. But it does kind of look like they're butterfly molting out of a cocoon. Where did the rest of this arm go? Is it hidden behind the cloak? I don't really know what's happening here. It's odd. I mean, the fingers look fine, I guess. Yeah, the other hand's on the spear. I can't really see the rest of the fingers. Oh, wait, actually, you're right. This hand doesn't even connect to the arm because this arm is going this way. This arm is going inwards. But then the hand is over here. How does that connect? Yeah, that looks wrong. That looks very wrong. At best, this artist is just shit at anatomy. At worst, the artist is using AI. So basically what I was just showing you is highlights of the accuser. What the accuser sent Yurei privately asking for a refund. Yurei was the one who actually took it to Twitter and posted all of that on Twitter. But this was in the follow-up to the thread. So remember, this was the first thread. Yurei said, am I fucking crazy? Are people actually fucking crazy? Now we're going to the bottom of the thread where we're reading their comments. Again, all this has been deleted, so I'm going off of screenshots. Yurei said, just say you want to scam money after receiving goods at conventions and go. This ass is charging back $240+. I don't know if they even did this to anybody else. Goodbye, I found the person because they blocked me. And those were the tweets that I showed you in the beginning. Yurei said, told people to walk around first because I can't have people waiting by my booth before opening. I left and came back when doors open. Was told somebody else was the first one here at 9 a.m. They got upset, now I'm an AI user. On first glance, this sounds really bad. On first glance, it sounds like the accuser is throwing Yurei under the bus just because they're throwing a little tantrum that they didn't get the acrylic stand or the figure they wanted because they were here waiting before the con opened, so they technically shouldn't have been waiting, but people do it anyways. And they weren't first in line, so they're throwing a hissy fit and trying to get a chargeback. At first, when I saw this, I felt really bad for you. I was like, bro, what is this like crazy person purchasing from you? You follows it up with also using AI to keep up with algorithm is crazy when I barely pop out fully rendered pieces in 10 days. And AI accusation into time lapses and work in progresses say otherwise into I don't like your creative choices, so I want a refund. This again showing that big message thread that the accuser sent them. I mean, we can definitely agree, right? That it's a little bit suspicious that for the pieces that look sus, there is no time lapse. Here's the thing with AI art where time lapses can't really prove it, because if you have a time lapse, but you actually already start with the sketch made and the line art done, then it doesn't fully prove it. All of these time lapses are time lapses, maybe, sure. The sketch is already done, the line art is already done. What a lot of AI thieves do is they will take an AI piece, trace over the AI for the sketch, and then render it themselves after. So there was AI in the process, but they start the time lapse from a sketch from then on forward. So any process from post sketch didn't have AI, but it didn't mean that there wasn't AI in the process. They just didn't show it to you. After that accusation of them using AI, there was an expose on this artist on Twitter. Started with this tweet by T469. You may not have used AI, but you still copied art from ASK and sold them at cons. So here's a gif of a Himeko piece overlaid above a Makima drawing. And here's another one. But anyways, it's basically one-to-one. Here too, we can see this drawing is basically one-to-one of this piece. So did they use AI? Who knows? Did they trace people's art? Definitely. So I'm showing you all the tea, the drama right now. Yeah. This piece was traced. This piece is the original from Ask. And sorry, flash warning, because the person who posted this tweet like made it pop up really quickly, but the new piece was traced. Yurei actually responded to the accusation that T4 put out. By the way, T4 replied to the original tweet, which was this tweet that Yurei later deleted. Yurei said, just saw this as it was buried under the notifications when I had woken up and deleted the post after reaching an agreement with the buyer on PayPal. I had crossed the line in over-referencing here when trying to learn their composition. However, they weren't traced definitely. So let's see this video that Yurei attached. The top is Yurei's piece. And here's the other two pieces that they're showing. They said, oh, it didn't trace, it was just overly referenced. Proceeds to show a basically one-to-one overlay. Honey, you ain't fooling anybody, bro. This is basically one-to-one. They should have never responded, to be honest, because this made it look a lot worse. Like, the tracing of this is very one-to-one. Here, it's basically one-to-one. Like, we can tell that once you chop the neck off, like, you did something a little bit different with the shoulders. Basically one-to-one. The facial structure is the same. Yurei said, having too many similarities now that I see it this way, I'll contact the original artist for apology and compensation. Anybody who purchased these can drop me a DM or email and I will refund, no questions asked. I'll be mindful with references in the future and not eyeball one person. I have to say also, this is very brave of you to tweet this under a thread of a deleted tweet that you had put out. instead of actually putting it on your main account, you know, just saying. I feel like it's hiding if you put it as a reply to a thread. You didn't even quote retweet it onto your account so that people who actually follow you, the 200,000 people that follow you, could see it. You like hid it under a thread that was of a tweet that you then deleted. And then we have T4 saying, never called it tracing, but it's still profiting off of others' works. It is tracing. Please own up to your words and make a public apology post with info about refunds on your social media accounts, as these posts will be buried. Exactly what I said. T4 said, additionally, if you have other art derived of others' works, extend the refunds to those as well. Otherwise, it'd come out as apologizing for being caught rather than a real apology. I agree. Jarwi says it's referenced at best. No. Is the ethics on these that bad? Like, artists live from others all the time. Nobody owns a pose or a head shape. The art policing from non-artists and online hacks is wild. Guys, I'm gonna tell you this right now because I don't know what level of like bullshittery that you're on if you are not an artist. I mean, that person has to not be an artist, right? There's no way you're an artist and you think like that. I'm gonna do it on their work because they already traced somebody's. So if I go into my drawing program, this is Uray's work. I'm only doing this to prove a point, okay? If you go into a drawing program and then you take somebody's art piece, you put it on your canvas, you lower the opacity to who knows what, you take your new layer and then you draw directly over it. Okay, I'm gonna do a shit rendition, okay? You do something like this, and you start drawing right over the piece, you are now tracing. That is not called referencing if you are drawing directly over somebody else's art piece. Doesn't matter if you change other elements of it. Let's say I made him into, I don't know, let's say I'm trying to draw a girl, I give her boobs or whatever, and then I move her hand somewhere else so her arm is going here. You still traced a big majority of this piece if you do this. That is called tracing. This is not called referencing. Tracing only one part of their artwork is still tracing. I don't know who needs to tell you this, but anyways, again, there is a conversation about tracing artists' work to learn from it, and I think that's okay. If you do that, you should never post the work. Public eyeballs should never see your studies of other artists. Point blank simple. Uray put out more tweets. This is the day later on July 12th. So you said, study from real life figure models instead of artworks. I saw another screenshot going around with the Arlecchino being similar, but I can't find it anymore. Though I'd like to make it clear here that it was drawn completely with two model images as refs, not off the artist's work as implied in the tweet posted. For any similarities were genuinely just coincidental in terms of posing after it's cut out and transformed. I acknowledge the Himeko and Raiden because it's true that I crossed the line with them. I've also mentioned this in another reply, but it contacted asked to send all the profits made off the pieces back to them as compensation, and anyone who purchased these are free to drop me a message to get a refund. I'm sorry for disappointing with the laziness in my work. I will make sure that I am mindful. I'm just saying, here's the thing though. It doesn't matter if you used a couple models for one of your pieces. The thing is, if you trace one person's work and you're proven to have done it in at least one or two of your pieces, nobody's gonna believe your other pieces anymore. It's one of those where your integrity is lost as an artist if you've done it. And then there's this other tweet from Kid Oodles stating, not gonna lie, I was expecting an apology, then they move on, but they decided to delete it and pretend they didn't get called out, so I got curious about their other stuff. Just rotating asks art was simple enough, shit is sus. I don't follow them, I don't care, but my moods should take a second look. And here's one. Oh boy. Yeah, if you look at these, this is not looking too good, guys. I'm just gonna try to cut this out as best as I can. This is definitely traced. I don't think this is something you could argue was not traced. Let's take a look at this, guys. Yeah. They also made the boobs bigger, which is really odd to me. That's a little crazy. And here is the photo again. Here's the drawing. And I think this is what really points to why Yu's pieces look odd. Why people accused Yu of using AI. It's because Yu is tracing off of other people's arts, but they aren't tracing the whole piece. So they're taking another artist's work for like the head and then the shoulders or something like that, and they're filling in the blanks themselves. But because they weren't the person that drew the initial starting point, they're like playing connect the dots with the body. And that's how come it starts to look really awkward, because it looks like they have very minimal or like questionable anatomy knowledge because they're tracing. Like the boobs being this big and this pointy just looks kind of awkward on this piece. And it's because, again, they trace the head and the shoulders and the arm positioning. But then that's why the hands look really awkward too, because they traced the arms and then I guess they just stopped. One thing I do also, I just looked at this piece and I just thought about something else too. AI has a tendency to take pieces and then complete them. But like there's no continuity in AI. So if something disappears, it won't reappear again. That's a big thing AI does. Do you see this ribbon here, the silver ribbon? How it flows from here, it flows behind the torso. It reappears again here in the crack of the arm. And then it doesn't reappear again outside of the arm. I mean, maybe it's flowing upwards here like this. I just think it does look a little bit awkward. Again, because this person is known to have traced, I don't really trust a lot of their work, their other work in general, Because again, as an artist, if you have traced or you've used AI, even if you've done it in some pieces, you lose integrity in all of your pieces. I now can't trust any of your pieces. And then we have more accusations of tracing. So this accusation comes from Cloudweaver, stating, are you going to apologize for these two? Because at this point, you just seem like a serial tracer. So here we have this, and let's just watch the video. So as you can see, the face overlays close to 1-to-1, and then here is the other piece. Like the forearm doesn't sit right, and the fingers also look a little bit awkward too, but that's the reason why the pieces look awkward. It's not a good look, that's for sure. Okay, but then look at this, right? Artists like her probably don't even care about being caught, since apparently there has already been another post about her last year that was swept under the rug by her friends. But I hope her supporters know that she's profiting by stealing the work of other people. Like, why would Blade's neck have that weird bend if she wasn't just tracing? And the Ayato pic, she doesn't understand how necks bend / anatomy, which is very obvious when you look at her other stuff. It wasn't just a mistake I made because I was lazy. If you're consistently doing it, be fucking for real. Girl, you are lazy, and you didn't want to put in the effort because you know your audience would eat it up if you covered your shit enough. Probably referring to rendering it enough so it looks very sparkly. They said, wasn't gonna originally post this because official art, yada yada yada, whatever, but like, you're shameless. Face, eyes, neck, and hairline, LMAO. So look at this. This is the Boot Hill art piece. It was traced off of the official art of Boot Hill. Here is their drawing of Boot Hill. Like, look at that chin. It's basically 1-to-1. The eye position is 1-to-1. The outfit, part of the outfit is like looking pretty close to 1-to-1. Official art or not, I still think it's not good to trace off of official artwork. Here's another piece. This piece is from Ask. Even if it's referenced, why is the proportion of the face to the same down to the ears and jawline? So if you look here, this is Yue's piece. This was Ask's piece. You can see the face, the jawline is very 1-to-1. The eyes are a little bit lower, but her eyes are looking down, so it makes sense the eyes are a little bit small, like lower. The bottom of the eyes are like pretty close to starting at the same point. The ear is the same spot too. She claims that the Arlecchino piece wasn't even referenced from Ask's Mashu piece, but really, from the eyes down to the eyebrows, ears, lip protrusion, the references don't line up 1-to-1 like that. And this is Ask's original piece. This is the Lepo piece or whatever you call it. How the eyes are close. The jawline is looking similar too. Even the hair is looking mad close. Like the face. Cloudweaver says, taking a pause to say, I'm genuinely baffled somebody as big as her didn't stop for one moment to think, maybe I shouldn't trace all of it down to the small details like jawline and ear placement that could have been so easily free-handed if you know anything about anatomy. More proofs. Possible other piece that was traced for Farina plus the very obvious trace mouth from Mashu. And you can see the almost 1-to-1 with this other piece. This piece being the bride piece. This is a drawing from Ask. Somebody accused them of using AI in DMs and they blasted it on Twitter. And then people turned around and were like, whether it's AI or not is up for debate. Whether it's traced, confirmed, bro. So here's another one that looks very traced. Oh boy. Oh boy, if I'm sighing, it's because I'm like shocked at the audacity. Yeah, why is the mouth super 1-to-1? Like the mouth is the weirdest part, that it's like basically the same. The tongue placement is the same. Cloudweaver says another one. So here's another piece of Yue that's accused of tracing. So if you look here, this is Ask's piece. That's not looking too good, bro. Not looking too good. Another example of tracing. Oh wow, the Robin piece was also traced. Yua says, I have no excuses for my actions. I will learn and do better, and anyone is free to message me for refunds. I also don't get why so many people are trying to defend them. Erustia says, I don't know you and I'm not an artist, but I think it's completely reasonable to use other people's creations as reference for your own creation's posture, which you're clearly not an artist if you have this take. And CMD added this screenshot stating, trace it over somebody's artwork, especially on multiple artworks, is not okay. And they have this photo. Traced is literally 1-to-1. Highly referenced, you add a little bit of your extra details, but it's mainly lines up 1-to-1. Referenced is most of the art is actually your own original piece. Are you going to apologize for these two? Because at the moment you seem like a serial tracer. So this is the Acheron piece that we already talked about. And then here is this tracing for Blade. So this is the Blade piece that Yue drew. People are pointing out how weird his neck looks, because whose neck does this, by the way? The neck looks really, really awkward here. And then as you can see here, this is a 1-to-1 overlay with another artist's work, where you can see the face, the nose, the eye placement lines up 1-to-1 basically. But in this other piece, the person's wearing a turtleneck. So the neck goes down like this, but there's a turtleneck, so it's gone. And because Blade doesn't have a turtleneck, he has kind of like a lower Chinese traditional collar, Yue had to fill in the blank. But because her anatomy knowledge is bad, because she traces people's work all the time, then she didn't know how to blend it properly, and it comes out looking really wonky. And this was the original piece from Donald Akron that Yue traced for her Blade piece. This one's so pretty. If you have the audacity to trace, what's to tell me that you only did it for 1 or 2 pieces? Like, I feel like it's one of those where if you're willing to let your morals stoop that low and to trace other people's art, then you're gonna do it in like multiple of your pieces. They've allegedly admitted to tracing 3. That's what they've admitted to. So we have this piece here, the Robin piece, where they said I have no excuses. That's basically an admission. I mean, I showed you all the proof, guys. I showed you so many examples that it's more than 3 for sure. And then we have larger creators subtweeting. 39Daff, who is a big streamer and also an artist, says, safest bet is to never trace anything unless it's your own photo. Even then, it depends on the subject matter. Daff says, also tracing or even heavily referencing another artist's work is a huge artist ick. If you're passing it off as your original, there's a lot of thought that goes into composing, posting angles, or posing angles. So it's more than just quote unquote tracing a few lines on a face. And Daff says, it's assuming you're not doing it for studies, but yeah, nobody cares if you trace for practice and post your sources. That's the thing. I personally am a fan of tracing to learn, except you shouldn't be posting it. Like, don't claim it as your own artwork if you trace it for learning purposes, you know? I can't comfortably say you're tracing to learn if you're then claiming it as your own, because then it just seems like you're trying to profit off of other people's work. And then Yue posted this big old doc, or you said, I honestly sprawled yesterday and just emotionally rambled on. I woke up with a clearer mind now that I've talked to friends and updated with the problem. I won't be around to check social media much. I'm sorry once again. So here is the doc. It's 3 pages. I honestly sprawled yesterday and went on an emotional ramble. I'll still leave it up for transparency as to what I wrote. So I'm glad they left it up at least. I woke up and talked to friends and have a clearer mind now. I issued my initial apology regarding the tracing situation, but will still say again here that I'm truly sorry and already did reach out to the artist I wronged a few days ago. I don't know if I'll try to come back or maybe in the future I'll feel better and can show everyone that I've genuinely changed with a full time lapse for sure. I won't ask anyone to believe what I'm writing below either, as I understand the trust has long been breached and the disappointment has formed from this. I will, however, be transparent on what I plagiarized and what I still swear by that I did not, despite the overlays floating around that may have looked incriminating. Robin Songbird face area, Farina Clearwater's face area, Butterfly Himeko silhouette plus face area, Blade's face area, jewelry on Raiden silhouette plus face structure. I stand firmly that I genuinely did not trace any of the photo card artworks, along with the Arlecchino, Acheron, and Navia. And if there's any other that weren't clarified, I'm open to questions and emails, as I'm trying to not be on Twitter just for my own sake, albeit unprofessional. By the way, the reason why the photo card artwork makes a big difference is they sell it for merch. So that's what I'm referring to here, these holographic photo cards, because they sell these for profit. The other pieces they've posted, and they did sell some as prints, but it becomes a much larger issue because these are like actual merch from them that a lot of people have purchased, especially recently, that is provable. So if any of these were to accuse of have been traced, it would be horrific because this is something they're actively selling to profit off of. As mentioned earlier, I completely understand if you don't believe me, and I'm not asking to gain the trust back with a snap of a finger. Any refunds pertaining to the plagiarized works, please send them to my email at ureart@gmail.com so I'm able to keep track and not get buried under the DMs. To help the process be smoother, you can send me pictures of the trace works purchased, if in person, alongside your original payment transaction number for PayPal. If it was done through cash/QR code, a screenshot of the payment would help for the latter. For cash payment refunds, I usually ask for PayPal info. So basically here they give a TLDR, like you can ask for refunds if you've purchased trace works. I am truly sorry for dropping the ball and disappointing so many people who truly supported me, whether for years or in the moment. You all don't deserve this betrayal. And for anyone curious, I've also withdrawn myself from any conventions planned. Because there's misunderstandings, I want to clarify that the entire gray chunk below was what was written yesterday that were completely off emotions alone, like what I mentioned in the first sentence of this post. I'm not deleting it because I'm not escaping from what transpired previously. I'm leaving it here for transparency that I indeed let emotions take control of me before writing things down clearly in public. It's true that I had thoughts of escaping in simpler terms, but I'm in clearer state of mind to address my responsibilities today. The black text above is what is representative now that I am thinking. In the old one, they said, I'm not going to fight or stand up for myself anymore. I was wrong in the first place that it's only expected that everything will be scrutinized over the slightest bend of the neck, out and pasted with false evidence because it's funny, because I'm shameless, because I deserve it. Some that I have never even seen before with my eyes paraded as the truth just because it matches the narrative. And you know I can't defend myself over the chaos because I have no rights to. Saying yes to everything is easier. I thought I could stand by my own words when I said I'll do better, but in the end, I don't think I can do this anymore. You can say I'm gaslighting, pity baiting, whatever you wish to say or in the threats. I'm sorry this even happened in the first place and that I let everybody who believed in me down. Amongst every other thing, the first time in my life I haven't left the bed in almost 3 days and I haven't eaten anything yet. I don't feel anything. It almost feels natural at this point. I don't know how to reply to people who are checking in on me and I don't deserve the kindness. I don't know how to answer my dad when he asks me what happened to me. I don't know how to tell my mom, who always tells me I'll be fine and brought me my favorite food to cheer me up, that I genuinely can't handle it anymore. I don't know how to tell my 2 dogs, who would always be so excited to see me, come back home regardless and snuggle to me when they feel something is wrong. I don't have much else to say except please be kind to my mom in the emails and don't harass her before anything happens. She sees them all and I don't want her to be sad, and she's still awake at this moment. Feel free to jump and rejoice because I'm weak and overly sensitive because I couldn't handle the consequences of my own actions. Feel free to party over my grave with your newly created anonymous accounts. It'll never affect me anymore once it's all over. Maybe this is just an emotional dump and I'll be back to normal tomorrow, or maybe this is the last thing I do. I don't know. I'm not asking for anyone's pity and I don't need anyone to feel sorry for me. Thank you for everything and I'm sorry for everything. That was the original thing that she wrote that she later like deleted, retracted, but left up for transparency purposes, which I appreciate. A lot of people weren't fans of her first response because they're saying that she's playing the victim and pulling the pity card. I definitely will say, here's the thing. Putting out a public statement is good if you're accused of things, potentially. It depends on the situation. I think for PR purposes, not every accusation needs a public statement, because if there are cases and you do put out a public statement, you confirm it into existence. If there was a tracing scandal and people accused her of tracing and she said nothing and just existed, then I think potentially it could have blown under the water. I don't think that would be good though, because again, you're scamming people. People know you're scamming people. You know you're scamming people and you should own up to it. But in putting out a document like this, it confirms that it's true. And I do think when you do put out a document like this, you can't emotion dump into it, because public apologies will never be taken well. It's just how bad do people take it? And if you put it as an emotion dump, it gets taken really, really badly. Maybe I'm being harsh because I'm not a very emotional person. That's just how I am as a person. But analyzing it from a strictly analytical point of view, an emotional dump like this will not benefit your public image. It will only hurt it in terms of apologizing for your actions. Everything they said prior in tweet responses, acknowledging their mistakes, being like, I am really sorry, I will offer refunds, it can come off as genuine. But then when you write a doc like this, it will then come off as not genuine anymore, which will take away from your original statement. So I just think from a PR perspective, it's not the best choice. Here's the thing though, and this is at least like my personal take. You can't really feel bad for yourself if you did something that would objectively be considered bad and you got caught for it. Like, you can't really pull a woe is me. Like, you took other people's artwork. You basically traced over it in a Frankenstein method to produce your own artwork, derivative of somebody else's piece. And then now you're trying to like play the I'm so sad, woe is me card for getting caught. There's no way you in your sane brain as an artist can argue naivety and be like, I didn't know this was wrong. You are an artist. Shouldn't you, out of all people, recognize that tracing over another artist's work is not good? And it's very gross to do in the art community. I don't know why you would ever think this was okay. And so of course, when it comes out and you do get called out for doing it, people are going to be upset with you because it's disingenuous and you're profiting off of it, which makes it worse. If you are just tracing to trace, that's one thing, it still sucks. But if you're tracing to trace and then profiting off of the trace work, that's even worse. So you basically committed a very grave sin in the art world and you're trying to mend the wrongs, which I appreciate. But I think the whole woe is me, I got caught for this, boohoo, my life sucks now, this wouldn't have happened if you didn't do it in the first place. But I think at the end of the day, I truly hope in most cases, all these artists that I'm calling out, I truly hope you could just be better. Be a better person. We all make mistakes, some greater than others, but look, man, you've made your mistake, own up to it, come back a better person, come back a better artist. And I'm sure people are going to be willing to forgive, maybe not forget, but forgive, as long as you became a better person down the line. In today's art drama news, we have an Etsy seller that traced my artwork. So this was brought to me by Strawberry on Twitter, who goes by the name Berries, which is what I will be calling them throughout this video. They were the one who brought this account first to my attention. And also, I just want to clarify, I was in Japan for like 3 weeks and I got sick. So if I sound weird, yeah, it's the residual sickness making my voice whack, which is why I'm not streaming yet. So Barry has sent me a DM stating that they found this Etsy account that had stolen artwork from them and they had contacted them to get it taken down, but they also noticed that this Etsy seller had stolen from me. So let us get into the situation with Barry first. This one in specific, the top row middle, the cat in the cup, was the one that the artist had stolen from Barry. This set of badges were badges they made specifically for their own Twitch account and it isn't for sale. They have a very like cutesy pixel art style with very light pastel colors. As we can see, it's super cute. I love the designs here. And then we have this. This is a screenshot of the artist's Etsy page of the listing with the stolen artwork. It's traced. It's not technically stolen. They didn't take Barry's art and then resell it as if it was their own. They just traced Barry's artwork, which is still just as bad. It looks mighty similar to Barry's. And we can do a side-by-side comparison to really showcase this. Also, little art tutorial for you guys. If you're using Photoshop and you have pixel art and it does look kind of blurry, there's something you can kind of do to upscale it a little bit. So if we go to image size, and then we make it bigger. So let's just scale this to like, I don't know, 1920 arbitrarily. Under resample, there's a bunch of different modes. So bicubic typically is if you want it to look smoother, but if you use it nearest neighbor, it makes the edges really hard and sharp, which is what pixel art looks like. So if we hit OK, we can kind of get like a better upscale. Sometimes it works. This screenshot is a little bit too blurry. Again, I'm taking Barry's artwork. Barry is the one with the striped background. And if I lower the opacity and put Barry's artwork over theirs, it is literally pixel for pixel. I mean, obviously, because this is pixel art. Also, their artwork is like really blurry, so it's again difficult to see the details. But I think you can't deny that even without the fuzziness, this is pretty pixel perfect. And a big one too is you can see the shading detail on their artwork. It's hard to see because it's so light in their artwork specifically, but you can see here the elements of Barry's artwork that is carried over in this Etsy seller's artwork. As you can see here, Barry has a way of shading the handle where they make a C, but they actually don't block in the last pixel here. As you can see, this person shading the teacup does the same thing. The width of the bottom of the teacup is exactly the same. They both do two-step staggers. Like, see, look, there's a bottom and then there's one step, bottom, one step, two step, like that. Even the shading is the same, where you have your base color here, and then they have Barry shaded it on the bottom right, slightly on the bottom left. You can see the shading is basically the same. The highlight is the same. The Etsy seller didn't even bother to change the light source. They didn't even bother to flip the cup even. They just have the handle facing the same way. Tracing isn't okay no matter what, okay? If you trace over somebody's artwork and flip it, it's still traced. They made zero effort to take reference of Barry's artwork and be like, hey, let's change it up a little bit. Maybe we make the cup bigger. Maybe we make the cat can like stick out a little bit more. Maybe we can have cat paws. For referencing, by the way, little tutorial, you want to reference more than one art piece. If you reference only one art piece, your art piece will start to intentionally or unintentionally look very similar to that one art piece you're referencing. But I digress, right? When you reference a piece, you take the idea, the body, the inspiration of that piece and put your own sprinkle on it, your own spice, your own little twist to it to make it yours. With this, there is no changing it for themselves. There's no alterations. There's no, let me add my own personality, my own spice, my own pizzazz, like take it and change it up a little bit. Basically one-to-one. And the reason why I say basically is because the image is so low res, I can't be 100% certain. So after this, Barry had actually reached out to the Etsy seller in question, and Barry had confronted them on January 16th, 2024. Barry said, I noticed that you stole my art for this listing, and before I take action, I would like to kindly ask you to please take it down. I'm a hardworking disabled artist, and I feel truly heartbroken that you stole from me. I hope you can resolve this so I won't have to take further action. And they linked the Etsy listing in question. So the Etsy seller replied stating, hello, could you please send me an image or a link to what you're referring to? I have no intention of stealing from others, so this may be a misunderstanding. I would like to resolve this ASAP too. So Barry responds with, sadly, this is not a misunderstanding. You stole my design for the coffee cup. Please take it down. And Barry had linked a listing. I guess this is probably, they probably maybe listed their artwork in the past and then maybe took it down because they decided to use it for personal use. So the Etsy seller replied, could I also ask when this design was listed or created before I consider your request? I created mine in March 2023. Again, this is just interesting to me because it's pixel perfect. It's one-to-one basically. So I'm trying to give benefit of the doubt here. Maybe perhaps they both worked in the same canvas size because this is pixel art. Maybe hypothetically, they both decided to use a 32 by 32 pixel canvas, which is like a standard pixel art size, 32 by 32, 64 by 64. And maybe because of the proportion of a teacup, it happened to look similar. I'll show you more stuff in the future though that may disprove this. Benefit of the doubt so far? Barry responds, why is that even a question instead of just taking it down? It's clearly stolen. I created mine in the beginning of December 2022. The artist replied, I would prefer to be as thorough as possible, especially when it's regarding stolen art. I do admit that it does look very similar. I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna do that. It can speak for itself. The artist continues, I will take it down as per your request out of respect, but please understand that people can have similar ideas and references when creating art, and stealing is never my intention. Barry replies with, people can indeed have similar ideas or references, but yours are legit just taken from me pixel by pixel. It is literally pixel by pixel because this is pixel art. So there are not that many pixels on the page. So every single one had to be stolen. Even the shading is the same. Yep, which I mentioned earlier. The only thing you change are the bear ears into cat ears, and then you put your copyright mark all over it and sold it, stealing money from a disabled artist who is struggling to make a living, and now my art is out there being used by people who don't even know I created it. So they can't credit me for it, and I didn't get paid for it. Thank you very much. So Barry here sounds very frustrated, and I completely understand their frustration. They're in every single right to be frustrated. Look, I've had my art stolen before, and I feel like every 6 months, like this happens over and over again where somebody steals my art, and then I have to message them and be like, hey man, this isn't cool. Yo, your artwork overlaps directly one-to-one with mine. Please take it down. And then they don't take it down. And then I make a video talkie about it. And then they get mad at me for making a video when I'm like, if you just didn't trace my artwork, we wouldn't even be here in the first place. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong though, right? Am I the asshole? But Barry had told me in DMs that this artist also has a listing that looks really similar to my art. And oh boy, we can get into this one because this is actually an emote of mine that is most commonly stolen because I don't know, bro. People got the audacity. Maybe I made a really cute emote. I think it's really cute. Also, shameless plug. If you guys didn't know, I have an Etsy shop in which I sell digital art, goods, whatever. I think I make really cute art. You can be the judge of that. Completely up to you. But I have frog emotes that are really popular, including this frog twerking butt emote. Let me play it for you guys. I'm really proud of how this one looks like. Look at the cheek jiggle, the physics. I later made like a twerking emote for an esports org I used to work with, and I made the physics way bigger and it looks a little crazy. So let me know if I should do like a giga frog twerking physics emote. I think that might look a little bonkers, but maybe. First off, I want to put a disclaimer. I'm not the first person to make frog emotes. I'm not the last person to make frog emotes. I'm not the person who came up with the idea to draw round frogs, okay? Like, people make frog emotes all the time. Frog emotes are all over the internet. The big thing is, again, just take it and add your own little twist, your own little art style, your own little pizzazz, your little things here and there to make it yours. That's what art is all about, you know? Taking things, taking ideas, and then interpreting it in your own way. So I am not mad at other people for making twerking frog emotes. I don't even think I was the first person to make a twerking frog emote. It's just specifically looking like this, okay? I would have issue with if yours looks extremely similar to this. I one time had somebody raid me with a twerking frog emote, and I looked at that and I was like, I thought that was my own art. It was not. It was somebody else's art, but I thought it was mine. It comes to the point where your art is so similar that even me, the artist, thought it was my own artwork. That's where we have a problem. So again, if you make frog emotes, more power to you. I love cute frogs. Please make more frog art so I can gleefully enjoy it. But when similarities get this close, this is where I have a problem with it. So this is their listing. Maybe I'm crazy, right? Like, tell me in the comments, am I crazy or are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because while there is some stylistic changes, as in they use these lines as a highlight instead of like highlight the outline of the body when I draw, the shading of the butt cheeks, the curve of the cheeks, even the direction the body is facing, the little feet that sticks out is all the same. They did add a hand. I will give them that, you know, they changed the highlight and they changed the hand. I would say to me as the artist, this makes me very uncomfortable because this is still tracing my artwork, right? To me, enough difference to where I could be like, oh, you know, that's your own frog emote in your own style. This is making me a little uncomfy. And if we do a side by side, I screenshotted off my own Etsy listing because I'm lazy and I don't want to dig through my computer to go find the files. Look at the color wheel, okay? That's the first stuff, okay? So color is a big thing in terms of making art, in terms of making emotes. That's another way you can distinguish your artwork from somebody else's artwork, by using different colors. And one way we can check colors is with this color drop tool. If you're not an artist, what this does is this tool will select the colors, right? And you can see this here in the top right with this color selector. When I select the blue, it moves the selector to blue. When I select the white, it jumps to white. So the bigger the jump is, the bigger the difference in color. Let me select my emote. So I put a big like airbrush onto my artwork. So the top of the art up here is different in color than the very bottom here. here. That's just how I like to draw. Further up here, notice where this color selector is. Let me select their artwork. Let me select mine. Let me select theirs. Let me select mine. Let me select, oh wow, okay, yeah, because I have an airbrush, the color changes a little bit, right? So if I select like, where did I select? Like right about here, let me select back to their artwork. It's like they color selected off my art. Okay, the butt cheek color is different. I will give them that. It's a little bit different. I again use an airbrush for the butt cheek color, so therefore can't really get like a one-to-one color select on this one. But even the sparkles are the same, man. The shading there, the shading direction is the same. The little foot is the same. Maybe they didn't trace my artwork right because I don't think their artwork is gonna overlap with mine one-to-one. But this does make me uncomfortable with how similar it is. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe not like fully traced, but like the body proportions, everything is, it's really similar to where it makes me uncomfortable. Again, I don't have a problem with people making turkey emotes. Just change it up a little bit, you know, like make him face the other way, have him like look towards the camera as he's throwing it back. I don't know, bro, but like a little bit different, please. Please, besides just like changing the sparkle directions. And Barry and I are not the only two artists that this seller has traced, heavily referenced from. You can be the judge of which one it is. In my case, I don't consider it tracing. I consider this heavy referencing to where it makes me uncomfortable. They have other artwork on their page as well. And you guys can be the judge of what lines each art piece crosses. By the way, disclaimer, please don't send hate to this artist. Please don't send hate to them on their socials. Please don't send hate to them anywhere. That is not cool. Don't do that, okay? I'm just doing this to show the line between referencing, heavily referencing to the point you're basically tracing their artwork, is a very, very gray area that you can walk. And here's what to not do. And also, again, to support Barry, because Barry's one I can guarantee you was basically one-to-one traced there. And again, they are a struggling disabled artist. So stealing from artists is already bad, but bro, like for disabled artists, disabled people already don't have like ample means to find work, right? Because it's difficult out there. And so being able to make money from home, selling your artwork, a great way for disabled artists to make a living. And so stealing profits from disabled people is just even worse. Tracing art and stealing art from people as it is bad, but man, from a disabled artist, bro, come on. They have this buff frog emote. There's a lot of buff frog emotes floating around out there on the art spaces, but I noticed this one in particular, this one that the artist had made, looked a little bit similar to this one from Nikami on Etsy. Just the proportions, everything, it's a little similar. And here's the thing, I'm not trying to be crazy, right? Because here I am on Etsy. I looked up buff frog emotes just to show you different options. And there's a ton of different art styles of people with different buff frog emotes, where they have the frog looking different ways, different pecs, different poses. This one has the entire full torso showing. This one is a full body. So even with the concept of a buff frog emote where a frog is flexing, as an artist, you can utilize your own creativity to then put your own spin on it, right? This one looks really different from this one, which looks really different from this one, which looks very different from this one. And again, if you like any of these emotes, you can take a peep at their names down here. But yeah, a lot of different buff frog emotes. There's a lot of different ways that you can take this concept and put your own spin on it. You know, here's another one. These two look a little similar. Oh shit. And if I put them top to bottom, they start looking a little close, okay? So the one on the top is the Etsy seller, the one on the bottom is the one from Nikami, okay? If you can see, the shading style is really similar. Look at how Nika puts dots on the knuckles. Well, this person also puts dots on the knuckles. Look at how Nika has one big blob on the elbow and one smaller blob slightly higher on the forearm. That same highlight style is present on this emote as well. Look at the shading style that Nika does. So Nika has a strong shadow going below the arms and a highlight hitting at the very top. This same shading style is present on this frog as well. And one thing I do want to point out that I think is suspicious too of this Etsy seller's alleged art style is the fact that their shading is very inconsistent. So if you look at this, you know, frog butt emote, very similar to yours truly, right? Draw almost all of my emotes with light hitting from the left side. I don't know why. It makes my brain happy. It itches my brain to draw like that, so I do. So it's just interesting to me that they would draw one frog emote with a light source coming from the left like this, but then draw their other frog emote with the light source coming top down. But coincidentally, the light sources they use always happen to match the reference that they're referencing, right? If you look at the swole frog, they reference Nika's artwork. Nika lights it top down. Their artwork is also lit top down. And again, all the highlight placements is really similar. Even the collarbone is really similar. Like other people who made a buff frog emote, right? Some people didn't add the collarbone. Some people added pecs instead. They used the collarbone idea as well. They did change, I would say, the face, so I will give them that for some credit. But if I do overlap it, the arms are looking pretty similar, pretty one-to-one. At least the left and the right bicep and forearm. I will admit, I will agree, the hand position did change. The head did change. The head is higher than Nika's, and the arms or the hands tilt a little bit downwards. The slope of the forearm, the slope of the shape of the elbow, Nika's artwork, as you can see here, at the elbow, there's a very, very small pitch inwards before it curves down again for the tricep. And that curve, that exact same slope present also in the Etsy seller's work. Maybe if I shrink it down just a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. It's looking really similar. And this is again a third person. So this person has not only basically traced one-to-one Barry's artwork allegedly, they have also heavily referenced my artwork. They have also allegedly traced a good chunk of Nikami's artwork on Etsy as well. And finally, the fourth offender that I found on their Twitch page, which is the least bad in my opinion, but it is still, we're treading into heavily referencing territory. Are these really cute? Yes, they are very, very cute. I like the concept of blood bags. I was a bio major in case you didn't know, so, you know, cute bio-related design. I found this image off of Shutterstock. So once again, if we put it side by side, they're starting to look really similar. I will again acknowledge some elements have been changed, right? The coloring has been changed. The liner is black or very, very dark gray instead of blue. Instead of having two columns of text, there's only one. The letters, the way they write the B is actually exactly the same here. But again, guys, let's try to overlap these pieces, okay? So let's take this. Let me take this Shutterstock image, lower the opacity, and let me try to line this up. Wouldn't you know? Oh my god. Okay, guys, look at this one here. Let me just up the opacity for you guys. Guys, there is a slight difference. These little bottom nubs here are removed. This is one-to-one tracing, man. Even the way the B is written, the placement of the B, exactly where it is here, is the same. This is a Shutterstock image. Can we acknowledge even the shading is the same? Once again, this artist differs in the way they shade with basically every single piece they make. Here, they have a diagonal shading on the blood in the blood pouch, with the darker side actually being the bottom left. So this blood bag is actually lit from the right side, which is the same side that the Shutterstock image is lit from. And if you're not an artist, basically what I am looking for here, I should have probably explained this earlier, the lighter side is where the sun is hitting. So for this blood bag, as you can see here, right, this top right is lighter than the bottom left being this darker coral color. So because the top right is lighter, that means the sunlight or whatever your light source is hitting from that side. Here, again, all of their artwork is lit from the right side. But as we've shown with their other pieces, they vary the direction of the light source in basically every single one of their pieces, which is, again, not something the artists can't do, right? The coincidence is getting a little bit too much of a coincidence for every single one of your art pieces to have lighting that exactly matches the reference that you are using. So after all of this, we can revisit again the message they had sent back to Barry stating that, you know, I do admit that it does look very similar, referring to their cat pixel badges, which were basically allegedly one-to-one traced off of Barry's artwork. And they stated, I will take it down as per your request out of respect, but please understand that people can have similar ideas and references when creating art, and stealing is never my intention. And after looking at all of this, I am trying to give the benefit of the doubt. When it first was Barry's art piece, it is really similar, don't get me wrong, but maybe if we do use the benefit of the doubt, when you're using pixel art or making pixel art, the canvas is really small. There is literally not that many places you can actually put the pixels down. Potentially, there could be a possibility that when putting the pixels down to make the shape of a teacup and the shape of a cat, it would end up looking maybe similar other people's pixel art, because again, with pixels, there's not that many places to put them down. But then it comes to the full digital drawings with the frog butt emotes with other animals as well. And the swole frog emote they have is a much larger canvas, a lot more areas for pixels to go. Cannot deny that there is such strong similarities between their artwork with their buff frog and Nikami's artwork with Nika's buff frog, with the shape of the arms, and their very uncomfortable similarity to my artwork, as well as the one-to-one overlay with their pixel art. The pixel art being berries, a cat teacup, and the pixel art being the blood bag. At the end of the day, hopefully this person is an artist who just really doesn't know where the boundaries of referencing lies and is maybe very misunderstood. Maybe they think, oh, if I trace over a reference but I put every pixel down myself, I am making the artwork, so it's okay. I'm here to tell you it is not okay. First off, again, I always try to say use multiple references. When you use only one reference piece, maybe you're good intentioned, your artwork will still unintentionally or intentionally end up looking like the reference you used, especially if you are tracing directly over it. And point two, please do not trace directly over other artwork. I would argue, in my personal opinion, tracing is okay in only very specific instances. One, if you are studying somebody's artwork, if that is the case, please never post it publicly to social media and claim it's your own because you traced somebody else's artwork. Secondly, if it's a photograph of your own body that you took yourself, then that is okay. Of course, there are some fringe scenarios that also are okay as well, but in my experience, these are the main two that would make it okay. While I want to give this person the benefit of the doubt because they're stating, oh, maybe we just use the same references, their artwork having one-to-one similarity to three artists in Shutterstock is a little bit too close for comfort. So please leave your thoughts down below as to whether this is tracing or whether this is just referencing gone awry. There's an AI art trend that's been going around and it sparked a big debate on Twitter. I'm curious as to what you guys think about it. So it started with this tweet from this Twitter user called Roger House. So Roger is a creator user who has been making NFTs or whatever, been involved in NFTs since 2021. Creative exploring AI manga, founder at AI photography. That's basically all you need to know about him. But Roger put out this tweet. Good morning, and it is a photo. It is a photo that is generated with AI of a girl with a cat leaning over her face like so. People are basically stating, delete this. Roger is like, what the heck? But again, that piece is AI. Roger is a known AI creator. And then Roger made a big ol' thread sharing his thoughts. By the way, guys, this is ChatGPT generated. I can't even break this down for you, okay? ChatGPT has a specific typing style, and the way ChatGPT types is they put emojis in the beginning. All of this thread is generated with ChatGPT. Like, this guy is a literal bot. I don't usually share my thoughts on social media, but after my last post went viral with over 13 million views, I find it necessary to do so. Do you have any thoughts, homie? You're like a robot. First of all, let me clarify that I have no interest with wasting time with users who disrespect me without having the slightest idea of who I am or what you do. We know you make AI art. I don't think anybody is disrespecting you without knowing this point. Like, we know you make AI art. People get mad at me on YouTube when I say AI art. The reason being is like, I need to type it for SEO reasons. I don't think AI is art, but there's no other better term that is short that I can use in place of the word AI art. So unfortunately, I still have to name it that. But yeah, so he says, first of all, let me clarify. I have no interest in wasting time with users who disrespect me without having the slightest idea of who I am or what I do. However, understand that the reason this happens is the fear caused by the incredible quality that AI art is achieving these days. As an artist, I feel like I can speak for a lot of other artists that we are not afraid of AI art in the sense that the quality is so good, whatever. AI art looks like shit and it's soulless. It is so blatant when people use AI art. You're not fooling anybody with it. I will always commission actual artists over AI art any day because AI art looks ugly. And to people who are not artists like you, Roger, then you may not have enough taste to understand that. But anybody who actually has eyeballs and can actually understand what is deemed good quality pieces and taste, then we can see that there's a lot more spice and soul and personality in actual art made by humans. This is not the first time or the last time this kind of public lynching will happen to an AI artist. Yeah, it will not, because as long as I am making content, I will continue to publicly lynch you AI artist users. But anyways, I would like to put some thought on the table regarding this matter. Okay, as in you will type into ChatGPT and have it output as a statement for you. I will continue my path calmly without deviating an inch from the focus of my artistic goals. Let's start. Okay, first photograph. I hate it also when AI artists compare AI art to photography. It's not the same thing. They like to make that argument, and it's stupid as hell to me. Photography, it's an art form in itself, but it is a different art form than painting and illustration and stuff like that, which is also what I would perceive a different art form than graphic design. Do they share in the same space? Yes, but they're not the same thing. What seemed like a curse for painters, today we can say with certainty was the best thing that happened to painting. Mention the Luddites, a movement led by English artisans in the 19th century who protested against new machines that destroyed their craft. Develop a second meaning, a Luddite describes those who oppose or slow to adopt or incorporate into their lifestyle industrialization, automation, or computerization, or new tech in general. Aside theoretical considerations, I like to make it very clear that I'm passionate about drawing, and it is a discipline that I've been practicing for over 15 years, being my main profession. Okay, so why did you stop? This is the other argument that I think is stupid too. When you are an artist, but then you went to then use AI art. If you're bad, just admit it, bro. Just admit that you think your art isn't good enough, and we'll accept that as your fault. But trying to make the argument, I am an artist and I then also use AI art, doesn't make any sense. That's literally like being a POC and also being racist. It's like you're fighting for the wrong team, or like being gay and then also being homophobic. You are still also fighting for the wrong team. Like, out of all people, you should not be like this. You are an artist. Out of all people, you should not be supporting AI art. Shouldn't you understand the theft that happens with it? But anyways, this is weird. I'm currently focused on creating AI art collections because I find it an incredible technology that I've tried for my art as early as in 2015 and have been heavily practicing for several years now. Practicing what? Typing stuff into a box? To all of you who criticize it without bothering to really understand how the algorithms behind it works, I tell you that AI is here to stay, and it is each person's responsibility and decision how to live with it, with hate, fear, curiosity, or excitement. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone who's taken the time, blah, 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 blah. That illustration will never die no matter how much AI advances, just as painting did not die when photography was born. I think it's one of those things where like, it's gonna be the same thing as NFTs, where you think you're doing cool shit, but we all view you NFT like creators as misled at best. I love this. This person said, yeah, we disrespect you. Can we see your hand/traditional digital drawing? Your best art so far, but not AI. It's difficult to just pick one, but I like this word I did for this person 13 years ago. I'm gonna pause the music. I'm just saying this person has skill in animations. Like, this person is able to animate. So like, why did you then resort to AI art? Sorry, I'm just going down their AI photography account, and it's just like, when the AI was so bad, you decide to pass it off as if it's like modern art or something. This is uncanny valley vibes. The tie don't even look right. Yeah. So anyways, that lets you know what type of art they make. Sorry, I just make fun of AI artists. Like, the harder they double down at AI art, the funnier I think it is. Like, the more I make fun of them, because it's just crazy to me. But anyways, this cat drawing specifically has become a Twitter trend of people saying fuck AI and then drawing it in their style, doing a DTIYS, which stands for literally draw this in your style. So this is just one of the artists that I found from Sayue Art, who did the cat drawing and then redrew it in their own style. It has a lot of personality. It looks human made, and it's in response to Roger's piece. This person added a time lapse just to prove that the art was made by themselves instead of using AI. But then the second part of this drama, we had this person, Guelo, who redrew that piece, but in their style. This is the AI piece, the first AI piece. This is their redraw. They said, fuck AI, support real art. And then PP Slayer VT tweeted, am I crazy for being the only one to see this? This is traced over the AI. Her face and the cat are identical, and their time lapse only shows the shading while having an outline already there. Others who participated in this trend actually redrew the whole thing. I don't think you can say fuck AI when you trace over it. So they have a time lapse of their drawing process, and as you can see, the sketch is already made. And they essentially only color over the sketch. But I also want to say their coloring process is really suspicious to me. Again, every time I talk about people's art process, people always gets mad at me because they're always like, oh, you're just hating on artists, you're hating on their art process. Everyone can have their own art process. I draw like this and I will render the nose 100% before drawing the rest of the piece. Everyone can have their own art process, okay? But this looks really, really odd. Like, very few artists do this. Very few artists will take a sketch and then fully, completely render the nose before putting any other flat color on this piece besides the button. Also, where are they getting the colors from? It looks like they're selecting off of a color palette we can't see. They're using so many different colors on the nose. And also, by the way, who renders the nose first, man? I know some artists like drawing eyes. They will render the eyes first. Some artists really like drawing lips. They'll render the lips first. Some people like drawing animals. They'll render the cat first. But the nose, I really don't know of very many artists who really love the nose so much that it is always the first thing they render. And to render like this, where you literally fully render it, basically. Also, I want you to take a look at how they apply color on the rest of the face. Look, they use one shade of brown and then they use a different shade of brown to color over it, and then a shade of dark green, and then another brown, and then more of this like olive color. And then now you have a grayish beige, and then a softer clay color. Where are you getting these colors from? Again, maybe this person has insane knowledge of color theory, but rendering it like this with these colors without even on a white background without any environment drawn in is really odd. Again, more random colors they grabbed. Back to completing the nose render, I suppose. And then you can see the drawing process where they draw in the line work for the face, the line work for the chin, and then the lips just appear. Where the fuck did this come from? None appears. Let me remind you, by the way, in this speed painting, it took them 7 seconds of the speed paint to render the nose, but the lips appeared in 0.1 second. A little bit odd. More rendering. I again think it's odd they add in like the freckles before drawing in the rest of the eye. The only thing they drew in themselves is the button, which also, okay, wait, they colored the button in yellow and they completely painted over just to redraw it in black. Okay, they add in the hair. All of the cat. Bam. One eyeball just appears again. The eyeball, the whiskers, everything just appears. Every time I talk about people's art processes, people always flame me, okay? And they're like, I'm the exception and I do this. There's too many suspicious things in their art process again. Starting fully with the nose render out of nowhere. Fully rendering the nose basically before moving on to literally anything else, which is odd. Typically people don't render like that, like piece by piece. Because if you render fully the nose, then you fully render the mouth, and you fully render the eyes, without kind of rendering everything together in some sequence like that, what happens is the pieces will then look like they don't belong on the same face. But somehow this person is able to fully render the nose, move on to everything else, and then it still matches, question mark. Then they're color selecting off of something because they're getting these colors that instantly work really well for the face. They didn't have to like change the colors or anything really. So where did you get these colors from? The mouth just appears. Out of nowhere, the mouth appears. Out of nowhere, one cat eye is just fully rendered somehow. And then I also do want to point out again, the level of rendering for the nose and the mouth doesn't match the level of rendering for the button. And then we have Asylum stating, the shitty button in the eye socket is the only thing you drew yourself, you lose. So here we have this tweet from Akihiko_sin stating, I mean, and here is it. So they basically have the AI art piece on one layer and the rendered piece on the other layer. Yeah, bro, that's not a good look. So yeah, I mean, there's that too. Should we send hate to this artist? Absolutely not. But again, I have a hard time believing that it wasn't heavily traced in some way, shape, or form because the rendering process is just really odd. And also this person doesn't have too much art of their own that we can really reference. But we have people in the art community stating, and this is from Happy Rock, genuinely embarrassing that our community saw an AI-generated piece of theft and decided, let's turn this into a draw this in your style. That will show them. Again, DTIYS stands for draw this in your style. And that is a quote retweet from our Velis's tweet stating, if you do this, you're just doing fan art of AI output and profiting off of Gen AI. You can write fuck AI on this all you want, but you're legitimizing its use and supporting Gen AI. And going back to Nicholas, he states, we don't win by retweeting, rifling, redrawing, and iterating. That's just so much casting pearls before swine, and it makes us all complicit. We win by instantly blocking and ignoring, celebrate each other, and leave the machine out in the cold. Let it have nothing to do with our art. Honestly, I think underlying the trend is the same thing that makes any draw this in your styles tick. People saw a visual they liked and felt motivated and invited to try their own because it seemed like fun. The protest element rings hollow, and the reason the image is compelling is because it's stolen. I'm not going to pretend the original looks bad, and I'm not going to pretend that all the human ones look better. The issue isn't about the greater or lesser aesthetics of a girl face and a cat face. The issue is those faces are composed of wide-scale industrial theft of our work. Y'all know me, you know I believe in the inherent value of human creation and soulfulness in art. That soulfulness is not best demonstrated by redrawing the same empty girl with cat again and again just for engagement when the original AI post was an empty a bit for engagement. We are not displaying how much better we are demonstrating how we can regurgitate an idea that wasn't even ours again and again with different brushstrokes. You can't dunk on the machine by behaving like a machine. Make something you love, come up with a story, an idea, something personal you can't help but revel in painting. Think about the people you love, paint them, paint your cat, and put all your affection and obsession into it. The love will pour through every pixel. That's how we dunk on the machine. That's what makes us inherently, intimidatably, unassailably better. Show your heart, be specific, be thoughtful and emotional, and bring your whole life into the work. Then blaze it, nightshade it, and protest with bullying, boycotting, and donating. And I do agree too. And somebody else with the same sentiment, this is Jade Law, stating, stop drawing the damn girl and cat, stop taking photos with the same composition. You're legitimizing the AI image by using it as inspiration. You're validating the AI promoters. Go draw literally anything else. You have the power of your own imagination. If I see you create something derivative of it, I'm going to assume you're like farming. I'm not posting it, I'm not linking it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I envy you. Don't look it up, just ignore it. AI art is made with theft from actual human beings. If you use AI art / you take inspiration from it, you in a way are also complicit in the theft of actual art. It is what it is. Again, like all these artists are stating, I absolutely agree. Just use your brain, draw whatever you like, but please try not to draw actual AI art because it is still made from theft from artists. And again, don't send hate to these artists. I don't consider somebody who uses AI art as an artist though. Have a good day.